On this show, we're always talking about the wait for that one big break, right? Everything that we've been prepping for, everything that we've been practicing for, just waiting impatiently for the sound of that starter pistol, that moment where we can finally put everything that we've learned into practice, that moment where the world can finally see what we've been working on. Today, I want to talk about what that moment is actually like, what it's like to finally get that gig. What does it feel like to finally be on that set, to finally be doing what it is that you've wanted to do for years? And for most of us, we've been waiting a long time to get to that point, right? And I think we should celebrate that point. We should really sort of examine the steps that it takes to get there. We should really sort of savor those moments because it happens so quickly. It happens so quickly, and I think most of the time, to most people that have that moment, they don't even realize they are having it. And it isn't until you have hindsight, it isn't until you look back on it and you sort of examine the mindset that you were in to get that job, you examine where you were at the moment when you got that phone call, right? And so I don't want this show to just be about the prep. I want this show to also be for those of us who have actually done something, for those of us who have actually got to that point. And then what, right? What happens after? What happens after you get cast on that TV show? What happens after you do that movie, right? Our lives are set. Never have to work again. Never have to worry. You're always going to get a call. Your agent and your management's always going to pick up the phone, right? I don't know if that's the case. And, I wanted to get someone on the show. I wanted to bring someone in that has that experience, that has had that moment. And today's guest is perfect for it. Dana DeLorenzo. Now, if you guys don't know the name, have you ever seen a show called Ash vs. Evil Dead? Right? If you're a horror nerd like I am, Sam Raimi literally is like chapter 3 in the Bible of horror, of like American horror cinema. And when I heard that he was going to be doing the Evil Dead TV show, it wasn't a remake, it wasn't another director. I heard that he was going to be directing at least the first episode of that show. I was really excited. And if you're a huge Bruce Campbell nut, right? Bruce Campbell's coming back as Ash. I mean, Army of Darkness was such a fucking fantastic movie. So then the big fear is, how are they going to do the show? What's the rest of the cast going to look like? Who are they going to be? Is it still going to have that same vibe? And it did. It really did. And the pilot of that show is fucking amazing. I love it. And Dana was cast as the lead. Actually, I think she's more of a lead than Ash, more because she's like the next generation on this show. I think, spoilers, I think she plays his daughter, right? Which is kind of cool, which is pretty awesome. So I'm super excited to have her on the show today. We're actually lucky to get her on the show today, and we talk a little bit about how that happened. And she's a ball of energy, and a really exciting ball of energy, and a really cool person. I'm very happy to have met her. And honestly, I'd love to work with her. So we'll see. We'll see what the future holds with that. But if you haven't noticed, we're trying something new. We're actually beta testing, right? This would be considered beta testing, right? For this? Or is it alpha testing?
It's testing.
It's testing. We're actually testing videotaping the show. But it was a last minute idea, right? I didn't get any fancy new gear. I kind of pulled out what we had kicking around the house. It's still just me and Liam doing this thing. And so when you watch the show, the beginning of the show will be videotaped. Essentially, full disclosure, because we didn't have time to light it, I didn't have the gear to light it, so we're using natural light. And the conversation is fucking great. And it goes for a while. And literally the sun goes down. So you're welcome, by the way, that we did it. You're welcome, by the way, that you get to see the sexy man's profile on camera. And I just want to say, I'm super happy that you guys are continuing to support the show. We were looking at the numbers because this episode will come out maybe a week from now. So we've been looking at the numbers for the past 2 episodes, and Mike Ambrose's episode broke all our records. Like, people consistently love that. And you guys have spoken. You guys love shows about lighting. You guys love shows about lighting technicians. And fuck, man, you guys killed it. Everybody's been reposting on that show. And if you haven't seen it yet, if you're a newcomer, if you're coming here because of Dana's name and you want to know what the fuck's this show about, go to the catalog. And if you go to the official website, go to inloveoftheprocess.com. There, I've curated all the episodes by topic, by directors, by actors, by artists. And I know at this point we're about 68 episodes in, 69 episodes in. So sometimes it can be a little daunting when you're looking at that queue on iTunes, if you're listening to it on iTunes, or on Spotify, if you're listening to it on Spotify. Worry not. You don't have to listen to the show in any sort of sequence or any sort of sequential order. I suggest you probably go listen to episode 1 because I kind of set everything up. But then after that, you can cherry pick where you want to go, man. And we try to have a very diverse group of guests on the show. We try to talk about a lot of different things. And I think the one thing that they all have in common is that we're talking to people who said goodbye to that 9 to 5, right? We're talking to people who have decided that they're going to give it all. They're going to give everything they got to chase a dream and follow that dream. And the show is about how do you survive that? And not only how do you survive that long, grueling, bipolar fucking torture session that you've signed yourself up for. It isn't just that. It's look around, examine where you are, see how things are done. I get being hyper-focused. I get that eagle fucking glance. Like you're looking straight ahead and you're like, I want to be a fucking director. But through this process, if you go PA, if you go work on stuff, look around, see what other people are doing, right? Because you never know. You never know. You might fall in love with a different job. You might want to do something else. And the show isn't just for filmmakers, man. And it's not just for actors. It's for photographers. It's for musicians. It's for anybody. Like I said, anybody who has decided to take that risk. And what do you do? Where do you go? And if you're here expecting me to give you tips and tricks, or if I'm supposed to tell you the thing that gets you fucking hired, then you're in the wrong fucking spot, dude. Because I don't know. All I can do is tell you what I do right now, or what these people have done. That's it. And the thing that kind of sucks about our business is that there's no formula. There are no steps to this, right? And it's consistently changing. It's like the melting ice caps, man. It's moving all the time. So just because someone did a series of steps to get to where they need to be doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And we talk about that on this episode today. We actually talk about how Dana got cast on Evil Dead. We talk about the mindset she had when she went in for the casting session and how that got her the gig, how that changed everything for her. And we also talk about the future, right? Like, what's it like to be an actress, to be a lead? I think there were 3 series of that, 3 seasons of that show. What is it like to be a lead on 3 seasons of a show for stars? And a show that everybody watched, and a show that has rabid fucking fans, man, right? That must have been stressful. So we get into all that stuff. Talk a little bit about acting, talk a little bit about filmmaking. I learned some shit about Sam Raimi. If I couldn't like that dude any more than I already do, after this episode, I want to get him on the fucking show. I want to get him on the show. So that's the deal. And as always, thank you so much for following us on Instagram, either following me at Mike Pecci on Instagram or following The Process at In Love with the Process Pod. That's In Love with the Process POD on Instagram. There you can write to me. You can send me ideas. You can send me stuff. We have also been setting up, and Liam has been running the subreddit. And what's our subreddit again, Liam? r/In Love with the Process. There he's actually doing discussions after each episode. We're posting supporting materials up there. Like, if you guys want to get deep, if you want to dive deep into this stuff, that's where you go. We want to start to build a community there. We want to start to build a conversation, right? If you think I'm full of shit, if you watch a show and you're like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, Michael, and you go on, and don't ever call me Michael, by the way, or my mother calls me Michael, and I will never respond to an email in which you call me Michael. So you go fuck yourself if you call me Michael, but you can go on there and say, hey, Mike, I think you're full of shit, and here's why, and here's my resources, and here's everything that I know about this business, And I'll probably tell you to go fuck yourself, but at least we're having that conversation together, man. And we'll have that there at the subreddit. And if I'm not there talking about it, then Liam will be there talking about it. And if there's someone that thinks he knows more than I do, it's that kid. So you guys can get in arguments about you give me the finger for, man. So yeah. So thanks for following all this stuff. And I don't want to hold out too long on this. I just want to really get into this episode. And so if you've been listening to the show, you know the deal, right? Grab those noise-canceling headphones. Maybe you can write to one of those headphone manufacturers that exist out there and tell them to sponsor this fucking show, right? Perfect. Look at this shot here. Grab those noise-canceling headphones, sit back, relax, and enjoy the brand new episode of In Love with the Process. Dana, thank you for being here on the show.
Thank you for having me, Mike. My paisan.
I have to say this right off the bat. I think our communications via email have been fucking fantastic.
They really have.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. Yeah. I was like, this is the best email exchange with someone I don't know.
Well, because you never know. When you're talking to talent, you're talking to actors, you never know what you're going to get. You never know the ego. You never know that kind of stuff. So your first set of emails, I was just like, I got to hear this fucking person on the show. It's going to be great.
Oh, man. Well, good. I'm glad. That's good to know. Usually people are like, well, I'm still reading it from last week because it's War and Peace.
I love the little GIFs that you made me and the little graphics that you made me. I thought it was fantastic.
Because, sorry, as I immediately choke on myself, that's just what happened, everybody. Your image, what am I trying to say? Your
graphic.
Thank you for the show. It reminded me of the moment from Evil Dead, from Ash vs. Evil Dead, from Sam Raimi's episode, where the thing's going in the eye, the fingernail from the deaditis going in my eye, and I saw that, and I'm like, hey, I got you a new graphic. But I forget I put something on it. There was some joke about it.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's great.
Yeah, I loved it. I
was super excited.
So easy, and I'm so glad. I'm so glad I happened to see how you reached, I think it was like what, Instagram or Twitter or something, which I never, I am honestly a boomer, I think, because I avoid looking at my phone like it's an ex-boyfriend
I just got
that
lucky.
I never want to say. Truly, that's why it was like, this was meant to be. Like, my friends know that there's just, I don't even respond to texts half the time. So, like, they'll send me something on Instagram and it'll be from 7, 8, 9 weeks ago. And I'm like, I'm just not even gonna. So, it was meant to be.
Yeah, I'm pumped. I'm super excited.
I'm so happy to be here.
So, the audience should know who you are at this point.
Well, I think we better tell them, considering I don't think my own family, half of them don't even remember my name or what I've so placed.
Come on, you were the big player on Ash vs. Evil Dead. I mean, what a fucking great show.
Kelly Maxwell, female sidekick. It was fun. It was what a wild ride. I miss it so much. I especially miss it. I was just saying this the other day. I especially miss it right at this time of year because we actually shot that show in New Zealand, in Auckland, New Zealand. Because when you think Detroit, you think New Zealand. Land of beautifulness everywhere, and everywhere you look is a postcard. But it was always right around now that we would go. And I think when was the last time we went was 2017, I believe. Wow. Yeah. It was the last year we went. So I just miss it so much right now. And I never thought I would say this, but I miss getting covered in blood and guts and viscera. I really do. Right. But at the time, like, it's so funny. I actually did a takeaway from it, which is, when you're going through stuff and it's hard and it's, whatever, all the things, right? It's challenging and exhausting. And, when like Bruce would laugh about having new kids, quote unquote, as he called us, to take the pressure off, because he said, Sam has been torturing me for 30 years.
Oh, I want to get into this.
So he's like, I'm just glad we have some new blood, that I don't have to get all that blood on my face and shit. And so anyway, and it's not the blood going on that's the problem, except when it's a blood cannon in your eyes that you have to keep open, or else you see it coming and it ruins the shot. So yeah, it's not pleasant, but people think it's sticky, which it is in a way. But what no one talks about is in 5 minutes
You're freezing.
No, well, beyond that, that's true too. But but in 5 minutes, it turns into like a wax kind of hard substance. So it always was like that scene in 40-Year-Old Virgin. I always think of Steve Carell because then all of a sudden someone would call my name 5 minutes after. And you're like, Dana, we're ready for and I go, huh? And turn my neck and I was like, Kelly Clarkson. Because imagine like I'm not talking Band-Aids. I'm talking chunks of skin, like skin being ripped. So here's what was genius about it. I think it's just a whole ploy by Sam Raimi because guess what happens?
What?
It hurts so much. And by the way, I lost like 30 chunks of hair. We called it the Evil Dead haircut because when it would get on your jacket or your whatever, your top, your shoulders, and you would. I looked like the Michael Jackson, like military jacket of hair after a day of having blood. So here's what was genius about it, though. I think Sam Raimi did that on purpose. Whatever compound he's using for the blood, because there's a million kinds of blood. We had a blood cart. That's another story. But I think it was genius because all you end up asking for is to be covered in more blood because you want to keep it wet.
Oh,
do you see? And
smart.
And so it got to a point where then we couldn't sometimes for continuity, not that that was a big deal on our show at all, but they would like really be covered in blood. I'd open the door, I was completely clean. It was just, we moved very quickly. But they would bring like spray bottles just to keep you wet. But then that is when you get cold. So, but here's my point of that long-winded story. Glad are we done already? I probably took the whole time.
Keep going. This is all good. This is good.
The point of that whole story was on those days when it's like you're in so much pain from the wax blood that's ripping off your hair and you're this and it's in parts of your body that you're like, I don't know how it even got there when I'm wearing pants, although, and then especially scenes if I had to wear like a lace top, that was always the days conveniently. The one time my character's wearing lace with just a bra, it's like, oh, that's the day I'm gonna get the blood cannon.
Of course,
But it's
the show's made for like 15-year-old boys.
I mean, but it was funny because I actually on those hardest days, the takeaway is I look back on them as the best. Yeah. And I think that's just something I've been trying to keep in mind for everything in life, which is the things that are the biggest challenge and the most difficult, but that are part of your passion and what you love doing. Those will always be the days that when you look back are like, man, I did that. That was awesome.
Yeah, the war stories. It's the war story shit.
Hypothermia, and you don't remember the broken ribs and all the things that I miss that. I miss it. I'd love to be covered in blood and get an Evil Dead haircut right now.
Well, I mean, it's a great fucking gig. I mean, from everything I've heard, I've actually pitched to those guys and they're really cool. Everything that I've heard about Sam is that he's like the most generous, really awesome dude.
I cannot say enough about that man. He is the most and the least intimidating person in the room. And what I mean by that is when I went in for the screen test with Bruce to audition for the show.
That must have been interesting hanging out with him too for the screen test. Were you intimidated by him or did you?
You know what's so oh man, this is a longer story, but let me see if I can find a way to surmise it. I went into it not thinking there was a chance in how I was going to get it. Like I knew I wasn't going to get this job because I'd been down this road before where it's something that is highly anticipated, especially something like Evil Dead, which is the fan base worldwide. It's
like a cult phenomenon.
Of like its own genre, and it had been since the original. I'm not talking just the remake. I'm saying since the third installment, which was Army of Darkness. It had been almost 30 years that Sam and Bruce had since said, like at all the Comic-Cons, they're like, we just got tired of people asking us, when's the next Evil Dead? And Sam's like, it doesn't matter if I did Spider-Man and Bruce is doing other things. And they would come to those events and be like, what are you doing the next Evil Dead?
Yeah.
So they joked about how that's what made them finally do it. But it really was a love letter to them. And it's something that's so, so beloved. I mean, and horror fans, I've now come to learn, are the best fans, but in the way of like, they're the most passionate. But if they don't like you, watch out. So to talk about with Sam and what he's like, I certainly did not think there was any chance in hell I was going to get it because of what this was. 30 years in the making, come on, huge. And it would always, those kinds of things would come between, not come just between, but I'd be so close to it. And I would hear like, oh, you're one of the three.
Yeah,
and it was
right.
You know, Natasha Lyonne, of course, you know what I mean? Or, you know, Kristen Bell. So I had read an article somebody sent me about this. Actually, not sent me. I saw this article when I was working at the bar the night before the very first audition, because this happened so quickly. So that's why I'm saying all of this, because it really didn't even dawn on me. Like I went in there just thinking, it didn't hit me in a way of, oh God, I got to impress them. You know what I mean? It was more like, you know what? This is just going to be a cool experience. I get to do a scene with Bruce Campbell and I get to be directed by Sam Raimi. That's the win.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So, but the article that I'd seen when I was working at the bar the night before, I got the audition notice for this at 8:30 p.m. I was closing this bar in K-Town that night, meaning I was going to be there till 2 a.m.
Jesus.
The audition, I know you just moved out to LA recently, but the audition, I lived in the Valley, and the audition was all the way in Santa Monica at 10:15 a.m., which is quite literally, other than Friday, the worst time to ever get there. It was going to take, I was basically going to have 3 hours, not even to sleep. Like there was no turnaround time. And it was 9 pages of dialogue. I mean, there was no, it was the very next day.
Holy shit.
Right? It was the very next day. So I'll never forget this. Dominic, who I always give a shout out to. Hey, Damo. It was like I was having a night. And he was standing next to me. I'm like, damn it. I have this fucking audition. Of course I have this audition at 10 in the morning. I can't eat, because then I knew who, I was like, oh, it's Sam Raimi. I'm like, I'm not even going to be able to memorize. I have no time. I'm closing the bar. And he actually offered to close for me so that I could get off at the early hour of midnight. And he goes, you know, that's like a huge deal, right? And I was like, what? He's like, this is actually going to be with Bruce Campbell. And I knew, I love Bubba Hotep, but I loved Army of Darkness. I knew the franchise. He's like, this isn't just like a remake. This is legit them. And so he pulls up this article, and Bruce Campbell had said, we're going to look for a Jennifer Lawrence type. And what that always means when they name somebody, or if like people are, what they say in the breakdown of the characters when you're auditioning, it means that they're like putting out offers to that caliber of people, but they're still going to audition people in hopes that you get the quote down for the person they really want. Be like, well, this girl's going to do it for nothing. So, you know what I mean? That's really what it is. But they don't tell you that, which I honestly wish we could change. Because just tell me, be like, hey, we really want this person. Yeah. We're going to get you this far. But, or if you get, it's down to you and her, but we're really just hoping they come through so that you don't get your hopes up, Yeah. Anyway. I feel like that was such a long-winded, boring story.
No,
the point of it all being...
Stop fucking self-deprecating.
The point of it, because that's not my... This isn't the interesting part. The interesting part was how I've had 13, 14 callbacks for a 30-second commercial that was nonverbal. This happened so quickly that I didn't even have time to... It was like that audition that day. I learned my lines. This never happens. I had to learn my lines by recording them and listening to them in the hour and a half sitting of traffic. So I knew, I was like, I just don't want to bomb. For this, it was a big casting director, Lauren Gray, who has done like Moneyball and a bunch of big things. And I'm like, I just don't want to do a bad audition. I know I'm,
Right, because you don't want to fuck it up with that person.
It just follows you. So, and it was just frustrating because I like to prepare and I always am prepared. But when I don't feasibly have the time because I'm trying to make a living to pay my rent, So I went in and I did it. And there was like a scene at the end that was never in the show, but where the character, one of them hits Kelly in the head with the frying pan because she starts freaking out that she just saw Ash Williams murder all these people, not knowing they're deadites. And I don't know what came over me in that moment, but I decided to do a pratfall in that moment, like pretend there's no one in the scene with me. It's just me talking to the camera. And so I was like, oh my God, look at all these people. And then I like did I don't even know what I was doing, but it was stupid. I threw myself down and like sprained my neck on the concrete. But I got called back a week later. And Lauren's like, they loved that pratfall. Do you mind doing it again? I was like, okay, yeah, great. So then I'm like, this is. I'm like, of course, pratfalls are always funny. And so then we got one audition, one call back.
Yeah.
The next thing I knew, I was doing this screen test a week. Like it was all very quick, like not even a week.
Wow.
And so I walked in and it was this fancy room with like 10 of the producers. And everyone's in suits and
so wait. So this has got to be nerve-wracking, right? Is that a nerve-wracking thing for you?
Well,
still?
you know what I've done. It depends. Like I said, I guess the other factor was, I should mention this. This was at a time in my life where suddenly this did not seem as important because my mom had just been diagnosed with cancer.
Okay.
2 days before my audition. I'm sorry, my audition, that very first one when I was at the bar, that was her first chemo treatment. She had just been diagnosed, a week or a couple of weeks before. So it's suddenly nothing else is as important.
Right.
Now
perspective comes in and
absolutely.
It doesn't,
it's like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm doing what I can do.
Yeah,
here. And
sure.
so I think in a way that was
helps.
a gift.
Yeah.
Because then also because you don't find out, you sign your life away before you get the job. It's just so you sign your contract before the screen test. That's how you have to do it. Huh. And at that point, my team had never told me that it was shooting in New Zealand, which my normal reaction would have been, oh my God, how cool, because I've never really been anywhere.
But
and
you have to deal
it was
with
like,
this.
I can't do this, guys. You never told me that. Like, I cannot leave my mom. I can't. And so it got to a point where my mom, who was never really, she's not somebody who was she always told me like it was. And she never sugarcoated shit, which I, loved about her, which is why I'm probably that way, I guess, which is good or bad. But she said, Dana, how many times have you been in this position? She's like, listen, if you actually get this job, you have to go because it's meant to be.
Yeah.
And she's like, and if not, just enjoy it for what it is. She's like, how cool you get to go do that tomorrow. And that really stayed with me. And I was like, you know what? If I have to quit because I have to go take care of my mom, I'm going to just enjoy this, man. Yeah. And I went in there just excited, which is when I tell myself to do, they tell you to do that all the time. Oh, well, don't want it so much. Yeah, well, everyone can say don't squeeze the puppy, but when you see the puppy, you're like, I love you so much. It's like you love mice and men. Oh, like Lenny. Oh, Wabbit. Oh, Wabbit. And you're like, you squeeze it because you can tell yourself all you want. You don't want it.
Right.
It doesn't work. But so this time it was just, I wish I could go back into that moment and find out how that, to find that switch. But so I walked in with nothing to lose. And because of that, I've now seen, the casting director sent to me, I've now seen this audition. It's on tape.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So what is this reaction? Is it embarrassing at this point?
I mean, I don't, it's not that, yeah, of course it's always embarrassing, but I'm also like, I would never do what I did in this audition in the sense of, I just was like, hamina. So Sam Raimi's there. And I'd never answered this what I'd said, which was most and least intimidating person in the room. The least because I walked in and he's like, hello, I'm Sam, lovely to meet you. We love your audition. And I was like, hello, Mr. Ray, my dad. And then somebody came up there, which was the showrunner, Craig Diagorio. And I immediately, of course, like with you, and I was just like, so me to a fault. But then, so Sam is behind the camera and he used a little tiny like 90s camcorder. And like just in there, he would say he was, they have to do the full body shot and had to stand next to Bruce. And when we had to like turn to each other and do profile. And when we did that, Bruce was like, ugh. And I said, oh, thanks a lot, dude.
What, he said that when he saw the monitor?
No. When Bruce looked, so they had to see how we looked together and height wise.
Okay.
And Bruce was like, "We're just making sure I'm taller than you." I'm like, "I'm 5'3". You're much yes." Like, but I would normally just be like, "Okay." And instead I was like, "I'm 5'3". I come up to your stomach. Yes. And So how do I explain this? So we're standing looking at the camera, and Sam's like, all right, guys, now turn and face each other so I can see your profile. And as we turn, so you're me, as we turn, Bruce goes, ugh, like at my face, like, oh God, what a hideous face. And I was like, oh, thanks, dude. And he goes, what? It's a horror show. It's a horror show. Get used to it. And like, we immediately started bantering, which I think in hindsight, I was like, I wouldn't have, if I'd planned to do that, I couldn't have done that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because when you try.
Yeah, no, but you're just in the moment.
I was
you
in
just
the moment.
Don't really care.
I would just let it flow, man. I was in the flow.
Fuck yeah.
Because I just didn't give myself the pressure. I mean, yes, I wanted this, but at the same time, I was like, look, whatever's meant to be, I really believed it. And so then Sam would say something like, oh, so, he goes, I'll skip to this highlight, which was, he's asking me questions on camera before we start and saying, this is a horror show, and how are you with prosthetics? Have you ever had prosthetics? Can you deal with being claustrophobic and having straws shoved up your nose while you're covered in plaster of Paris? And I'm like, and you could just see the genuine joy of just hearing that. I was like, yep, so I've never done it, but I'm ready to do it. And he goes, okay, because we're thinking of having they didn't say your character because I didn't have it. He's like, we're thinking of having Kelly be possessed. Dude, this is all I've ever. This has been a dream of mine since the first movie, horror movie.
To play a possessed
like a good
person?
Italian girl. Exorcist was the first first horror movie I ever watched, of course, with my parents, and I I was 12, and she was 12 when she did it, and I have a whole thing with it, right? Mm-hmm. Always wanted to play possessed. In fact, I pretended I was possessed at a sleepover in 7th grade to get back at the mean girls who were being mean to me, and they still to this day think I was possessed. Anyway, so my visceral excitement that you see on camera and I'm like, yes, I'm okay with this. And he goes, because we're thinking of having your character Kelly be possessed. And I wish I could do it now. Like chariots of fire. I'm like, yes! Like I had just gotten the job and I start putting my hands up in the air like a runner at the end of a finish line and start going in circles and he's like, oh, okay, so, but like, you think you'll be okay? I was like, yep. Like, but I'm watching it just like, oh my God, I was so I didn't give a shit. I was just really present. And then that led to me having the biggest balls I've ever had at any moment when I interrupted Sam Raimi and asked for another take. And the whole shifted. Whoa. I interrupted. I knew him 5 minutes. I interrupted him.
Wow.
Interrupted Sam Raimi.
Wow.
And
what did he say?
We did this one scene that was a little bit more dramatic towards the end, and we did it once, and he gave me direction, and we did it again. That was sort of there were 3 scenes. This was one I was just by myself. The first one, by the way, fun fact, the scene that's in the pilot at the value stop with me and Ash was the audition scene as well. Like that never changed. But this one was a little bit more dramatic, and we did it twice. And he turns around, like away from me, to the rest of the producers and casting and everybody, all the 20 people that were in there. And he goes, all right, so I would like to edit this so that if we can, so that we use the first part of the first take and the second part of the second take. And I go, and this wasn't on camera, but I go, well, why don't I just do it again? And I really have to do this for you. So now imagine Sam Raimi in his suit with his back like this, and you just hear the record scratch, and he slowly turns around and just looks at me, and he goes, oh, excuse me? and I'm not even aware, and I'm like, well, I mean, if you didn't get what you wanted, why don't we just do it again?
Yeah.
And he's like, doesn't say anything, and I go, okay, well, let me just at least try it. Can you tell me what you liked about that? And he says, and he like looks at me like this, the whole room. And I don't even realize it, but now in hindsight, I'm like, oh my God, that's like, I knew it as soon as I left the room. I was like, oh, I think I fucked it up.
Yeah.
Because you don't fucking interrupt Sam Raimi and ask him. And I was just like, oh yeah, let's do it. And he says, all right, so if you think you can do it, I want this and this and this. And I was like, cool, let's try it. And he looks at everybody and goes, well, I guess we're doing another take.
Oh my God.
I did the take, and he said, it was dead silent. And he's like, Dana, from here on out, I want you to trust your instincts. That was perfect take. That was exactly what I wanted. You have very good instincts about yourself, so make sure you don't lose that.
Oh.
And I found out from Lauren Gray later that that was what got me the job in a way, because she's like, you put yourself on that chopping block. If you didn't deliver, that was it for you. She's like, but it showed that you wanted to get it right. It showed that you weren't afraid. And I go, because I was like, yeah, well, I got lucky. That was all my karma. But I guess that's my point, Mike, is that I never would do that in any other situation. And I think just all of those things were combined. The being present, the being in the flow, the just appreciating it for what it is. The threat of, you know what, now this is not the number one thing in my life. My mom's health is. And I think all those things just work together.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even network test, which is normally what happens next. They apparently, I think they maybe didn't even see somebody, I don't know if this is true. Somebody said they didn't continue to see people.
But what a crazy fucking story. And if I didn't respect Sam Raimi enough, I respect him twice as much at that point, because he didn't have a fucking ego.
That's what so
that's
I mean,
crazy.
I feel like I started this 2 hours ago. I am so sorry, listeners.
No, it's all good.
Edit me out. Just edit the shit out of me. This is why I need dialogue written for me so I know how to end a sentence.
If you suck, I am going to tell you. And it's been great.
I definitely am bored with myself. Because there's so much more. I'm going to leave here being like, what? Why did I talk for 20 minutes about the bar? It's been great. Least I always do come back to my tangential point.
You can eat too, by the way. You're allowed.
Okay,
to.
I have to focus on one thing at a time.
Okay.
Look at, I'm sweating thinking about the story again. The least and most intimidating person in the room is because he's talking to me. He's talking to you like on camera, and I'm just like, how I'm talking to you now, and you're like, oh, this is my buddy Sam, like Sam the butcher from that you see once a week at the grocery store who cuts your ham, you know. And then he walks away, like, because when he's talking to you, he's there. It's this, and it's vulnerable and present and real and just who he is, right?
Yeah.
No ego, like you said.
Yeah.
And then he turns and walks away, and you're like, you feel it's like he's. Have you met people that are
he's just got that
level
presence.
that has that aura?
Yeah.
Bruce has it.
Yeah.
Lucy Lawless has it. He has just certain people have that energy that you can feel them before they walk in the room.
But it must make it easier to trust those people too when they do have that kind of presence, right?
Well, in this particular case, yes. But I've also met people who have that kind of presence that are not as
negative,
that do have an ego or that aren't collaborative. Sam Raimi was the most collaborative director writer I've ever. Well, Craig DiGregorio and the writers were as well, but he set the bar.
Yeah.
Because day one of like pre-production, he's like, so he asked me to sit down and help him. I'm not kidding. This is what he's gonna say. Dana, I was wondering if you were busy. Do you have any time in between wardrobe fittings and stunt training today? It was like day two. Okay, it's day two. It's like, Sam, you're kind of the director, so whatever you think, being an idiot. And he's like, okay, well, I was wondering if you would you mind squeezing in, an hour or so with me so we can sit down and you can help me write this scene that I'm trying to work out for the first episode for the second episode. And I said, because he wasn't directing that one. And I was like, you know what I said to him? I go, no. And then he goes, he's looking at me. He's like, oh, you don't want to? I was like, Sam, this is your baby. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I go, I don't even know. I'm trying not to trip in my stunt rehearsal. Sorry, I am allowed to swear, right?
Yeah.
Because now I'm nervous that you're writing these things down. It's like, cut that shit.
He's like, she said fuck at this point.
Fuck was the only concise thing she said. We have to keep it in.
Liam, start bringing attention to yourself. Turn and face the corner.
So because I would call him out, but like in hindsight now, when I've seen him since, I get all shy now. It's weird. Isn't that a bizarre thing? Because I think it's because now I'm so aware. Because now I'm aware of how I was with him, which worked, I suppose. But now I'm also like, I just want to I don't know. I think I'm like trying to I don't know why.
I just imagine like he's a little shy and he just wants to be your friend. And you guys
right, and I'm like, I talk to him like I'm talking to you, like, shut the fuck up. I was like, yeah, you want me to write? Okay.
And he's like, right, she doesn't really like me as a friend.
And I'm
so
like, yeah.
He's like kicking rocks as he leaves the room.
And like I berate him. I was like, oh, you want me? You want me? Okay, what's the joke here? Come on, Raimi. Uh-huh. And in all seriousness.
Yeah.
And then but he doesn't laugh at that. Bruce and I had that sort of chemistry. Be like, oh, okay, blah, blah, and we would like ball bust, right?
Yeah. He seems like a big fucking ball buster.
In the best way, but that is also why, because we did that. Bruce told me that it's because I did that with him in the beginning with the screen test.
So that's what
because they needed that kind of banter for a woman to call that character out on his shit, because that way he could still be the character we all know and love in spite of his, terrible
his
bigotry
ego,
and just disgraceful sexual things. But that way it doesn't. It's like, look, he's just ignorant. He's not malicious. That's just the character. So in order to make that work in this day and age, and I thought that was pretty smart of them. I didn't think it was going to work at all. And I was terrified everyone was going to hate, all the fans were going to hate us, but we were very, very lucky. I was very, very lucky. So with Sam, we ended up writing and talking about like why he thought, what was his idea for how did Kelly's mother die initially, and what would be that scene with Mimi Rogers. He used my ideas, and I was like, I kept then I started getting nervous. I kept apologizing. I'm like, no, but I really think he's like, I'm asking you what you think for a reason. Don't waste time telling me I shouldn't think that, because then you're telling me I'm wrong. And I was like, oh, okay. And but it's true. Because then it was getting my own insecurity and shit instead of being like.
That's kind of his job. I mean, half the job of a director is sort of feeling your way through it. It sounds like he does such a good calming, like he seems like he was a calming presence. Was he calming for you?
Have you met me? I'm pretty much anything as calming.
I mean, you've been bouncing off the fucking wall since you got in here. No. No.
It's like you've known me forever.
All right, guys. You know the deal. You know what time it is. It's time for us to show a little bit of love to the men and women that support the show. And I'm not just talking about you guys at home, right? Because, listen, you don't have to pay for this. You don't have to pay for this podcast. I'm not charging you for this. What kind of fucking moron am I for not charging you for this? Oh, this shit that you see I'm doing for fucking free right now. What a dumb business plan. But the only way that I can survive, the only way that this show can survive, is with the support of our sponsors and the support of you guys, right? So I know you're just there and you're passively listening to this, and maybe you're in your car and you're stuck in LA traffic, or you're sitting around your house and you're just cruising through Instagram and liking things passively and not really doing anything right now. Do me a favor, just click on the fucking links, okay? So go below this episode in the descriptions, pick one of our sponsors that you're fascinated by, and click on a link, right? It's simple. It's the simplest thing to do. I don't know why it's such a hard thing for you to do. It's not. And what happens if you click on that link? Then it gets counted, and then the sponsors go, hey, Mike, those thousands of listeners that listen to your show, they're actually clicking through on us. We're extremely happy. We would like to give you more money, right? That's how the fucking game works. So please do it. Okay. And if you're looking for a link, if you're looking for someone to go check out, and look, I don't read on these guys because I love these guys. This is how 100% honest I am about my good buddies over at Puget Systems. If you are a filmmaker, young photographer, and you're on a computer that is consistently giving you that beach ball wheel of death, right? It's telling you that for some reason, even though you've done it 100 times before, you can't use this program anymore, right? Some rando update happened last night that rendered your hardware fucking useless, right? We all hate that shit. And then comes the panic second day, where you wake up and you go, well, fuck, I got to get this job done, so I guess I have to buy a new computer. And then you go look at the prices of the bigger manufacturers for computers, and you want to also budget for a gun because you want to put it in your mouth and blow your fucking head off because the prices are out of control, right? Well, here's what I suggest. Think about building and buying a PC. Oh, fuck, he said a PC. Yeah, no, we live in a world right now where PCs and Macs, or Apples and PCs, work the same, right? It's all the same shit. If you're using Adobe Creative Suite, you're in Premiere, you're in Photoshop, they run the same on both operating systems. And I know that there are some of you who have been indoctrinated into that fucking cult, and you're just like, well, I don't know how to use Windows. Just start it up. You open a folder and you double click on the icon. It's the same shit, right? And here's the thing. You no longer have to be a buyer of those high-end priced manufacturers' products to be a professional. Because I cut everything I do on a PC. 12km, cut on a PC. Who's there? Cut on a fucking PC, man. So go to PugetSystems.com. Why go there? Well, you don't want to build your own PC, or maybe you do. Maybe you want to build your own PC. Maybe you're a tech nerd like I used to be. At PugetSystems.com, these guys beta test all the brand new hardware, and they benchmark test this stuff. So they put all those results online. So if you're building a new PC, you can go there and check it out and say, hey, is this new graphics card worth it? Does it actually do what it says it does? These guys will test all that stuff, and they give that info away for free. For free! Why do they do that? Because they care about the community. They care about people that work on PCs. Now, if you're someone that is used to buying a piece of hardware that shows up in a shiny little box and you like that unboxing experience, then go pay for that unboxing experience. Like, go pay for that felt fucking lined box that is going in the trash, right? I'd rather take that cash and put it into the machine. I'd like to use that cash on hardware. And so Puget Systems takes that money, puts it inside, builds you a faster, more efficient machine, a machine that can be upgraded, easily upgraded. I mean, I've had my one that I'm working on right now for 5 years. Can you imagine 5 fucking years? And I'm about to cut a music video on it. Holy shit. It's a different world out there. Go to PugetSystems.com. There you can pick a baseline system based upon the software that you use. So if you're a Premiere user, click on Premiere, and they'll offer up the baseline package. And here's what's so great about Puget Systems. They want to hear from you. You can write to them and tell them what you're doing, how much money you have, what kind of work you do, and they'll suggest how to spend that cash wisely, where to put it, how to make the most out of that hardware. At the end of the day, you're going to get a super fast machine, and it comes with real customer support. Like a real person answers the phone, and they know your name. It's an amazing company. Go check them out, PugetSystems.com. Okay, also up, our good buddies over at Quasar Science. One of the best new advancements over the past 5 to 7 years now in the movie industry is not the cameras. Oh, holy shit, what's he saying? It's not the cameras, man. It's the lighting, right? With the advancements in LED lighting, it has changed the game of cinematography. Everything that we see on Netflix, everything we see on TV, the cinematography bar has been raised really fucking high right now. And a lot of that has to do with LED lighting. Now, what are the benefits of using LED lights? They draw less power. Some of them put out more light than a lot of the conventional light stuff. And that means on an independent level, you can actually be lighting scenes without having to get a fucking generator, without having to get a Genny-Op, without having to get these people that run that thing. So it keeps your budget nice and low. If you're just a freelance videographer, if you are happily a freelance videographer and you're making cash these days and you're looking for a new kit, I highly suggest you go check out Quasar Science LED tube kits. They come in different lengths. They're super lightweight. You can actually fit them in the back of your little hatchback that you're fucking driving around in. You don't need a big truck for it. And the lights work really well as fill lights, key lights, edge lights. Try not to be one of those assholes that are just putting them in the background of all their music videos. We've all been there. That was a big thing for fucking years. They aren't just tubes that you use those for. Yeah, check them out. Go to Quasar Science and look at this new LED technology and look at how well it's been doing lately and what amazing things that people do with it. Wow, I barely got that out. So go check it out. Go to QuasarScience.com. industryjump.com. Okay, also, we have a sweet little partnership with Industry Jump. I'm going to read this so I don't fuck it up. Industry Jump is a global community of verified filmmakers providing the next generation of filmmakers with the resources required to grow their businesses, learn new skills, and manage their careers. You can sign up for free. You can even create a verified portfolio, search for film crew to hire for your next project, and learn from top-tier creators in the industry through live video mentoring. Yeah, if you don't get enough of that from me, these guys are great. So if you want to go check this out, head on over to industryjump.com. They're also on Instagram at industryjump. What we're doing is they're actually promoting the podcast. They've got a bunch of followers, and so we've been getting a bunch of people from Industry Jump. So if you have made the Industry Jump, what a good dad joke that was. And you've showed up and you're listening to the show, welcome. I hope we're teaching you something more than just how cool this new camera works, right? I hope you're learning some shit that you're not learning from anywhere else. And if not, then just, send me a message and say, Mike, you're full of shit. Totally fine with that. But for the rest of us, if you're looking to build your community, if you're looking for a larger community, I highly suggest you head on over to the fellows at Industry Jump. Okay, and speaking of supporting this show, let's say that you feel bad for me, right? And you're like, Mike, your hair's looking shaggy, your beard's looking too long, it looks like you're not making any money these days. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. And you're like, look, maybe we should throw him some cash. Well, the easiest way to do so is to go to inlovewiththeprocess.com. There's a donation button if you want to make a donation to the show. I think it's like a $15 donation. There you can donate to the show, but I get it. We're all in the same fucking boat, man. My wallet's light all the time because I've chosen this lifestyle, and I know yours is too. There are a couple of ways to support us without costing you a dime. Okay, and the simplest way to do so is to sign up for the Audible free trial. Now, if you're listening to other podcasts and if you've done this before in another show, you can't do it again. It won't work for us. But if you haven't yet and you've been thinking about signing up for Audible, then please do so. And let me check. Let me check and see what okay, yeah. Do so by clicking on audibletrial.com/inlovewiththeprocess. There you'll get a 30-day free trial for Audible, as well as one free audiobook, I think is what they want me to call it, an audiobook. And you'll get access to all sorts of other really great audio content. And if you like it, stick around. 30 days for free, but if you like it, sign up for the next month. You're probably going to get addicted to books the same way I did. But if not, then just cancel, right? Cancel before it costs you anything. I'm whispering this because I'm not supposed to tell you this. But if you cancel, I still get paid. Okay, that's it. So it'd be super cool. Easy peasy. I like it because I've seen you guys doing it. We actually got a check a couple weeks ago. You guys have been killing it, man. So I love it. Also, another great deal that we have going on is with Capital One. Now, before I give you this advice, I just want you to examine yourself. Take a moment and examine your spending habits, right? Are you like somebody else I know that doesn't go to sleep late at night and they're surfing through online buying communities consistently and buying useless shit, right? Like Amazon. Are you an Amazon late night purchaser? And you look and you look at your bank account the next day and your accounts are really low and you're like, wow, well, at least I have 4 different pillows showing up to the house and a bunch of other random accessories that I really didn't need. My point is if you don't know how to spend your money right, then please don't take this advice, right? But if you are looking to expand your business, if you're looking for a credit card, essentially, then sign up for one of our deals at Capital One. If you go to inlovewiththeprocess.com/sponsors, there you'll find 2 different graphics. There's one for the Venture card and one for the Venture One card. And so I don't fuck it up, here's the difference. The Venture card, you earn 2 times the miles per dollar at every purchase every day. For signing up, earn a $50,000 bonus miles when you spend $3,000 on purchases within the first 3 months of opening the account. That equals $500 in travel, okay? So you can use those bonus miles to spend $500. Super awesome. But the venture card comes with a $95 annual fee. So if you're spending a lot of cash, like you get a lot of jobs going through consistently, you're renting a lot of gear, that card might pay itself off even with the $95 thing. You might get a great benefit of getting this 2 times the points per dollar spent, right? But if not, if you're just starting out, then look at the Venture One card, right? So this one has no annual fee, and you earn 1.25 miles per dollar on every purchase every day. And you earn 20,000 bonus miles when you spend 1,000 on purchases within the first 3 months of opening the account. So that equals $200 in free travel. Okay, both Gina and I did that. That was one of the ways that I was able to get across country when we were looking for a place out here. We actually had it all paid on by the bonus miles that we got from these credit cards. It works out really well, and that's kind of why I'm selling it to you guys. If you guys sign up for the card, we get a nice little bonus, and it helps the show. So that's a great way to do it. And if you're curious, like, what do you mean when you did the move? Go back through our catalog of podcasts. We actually did a whole series on what it was like to transplant across country, like end everything in your life, move across country, and restart again on the West Coast. And now I think Gina told me we're closing in on 5 months right now, which is insane. Feels like it's still been 3 weeks since we got here. So everything's been going high speed. What is it? 6 months? It's not fucking 6 months. No, it's not. Is it more than 5.5? Where are you right now? You on Amazon? Anyway, all right, cool. That's enough of the shit. Let's get back to the show. I hope you guys are enjoying Dana as much as I did. So let's get back into it. Obviously, I'm a horror dude, so of course I'm a Raimi fan. And the thing that I've always loved about Raimi, and the stuff that I loved about his movies, is that literally I just picture him off camera with like a fucking branch just hitting his actors in the face. And it just reminds me, because I'm an older brother, it reminds me of when I was a kid and I would do shit with my brother and I would just tease him and I'd put him on screen just to throw shit at him. And that was kind of the whole purpose of it.
You know what's interesting? Did you see that? Is that why you brought that up? Did you see what he did to Bruce? Is that why
I've just heard. No. What is this image?
The only person he tortures is Bruce.
Really?
Oh, and the greatest image, you can look it up now, that in the first episode. Did you watch the show? Do you know the
I love the show.
Episode?
Yeah. That's the best. That's the best episode of the whole fucking show.
That little Lori doll, with that, like, it was the doll that like attacks him, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So it ended up becoming CGI, which is not what's. I don't think that that was just for. I don't know why they did, but on the day, and you can find this still shot. That we were ruining the scene because we were laughing so hard at Sam and Bruce. So they used an actual doll, and Sam put it on imagine just a long chopstick, basically, or longer stick. And I'm not kidding you. I have never seen, to this day, Sam Raimi have more joy on his face.
Oh God, it sounds
watching
like
and in this still shot that they have, which I think. Because it was used on camera, this doll moment, I don't know if they superimposed over it, but he had an actual that doll on this stick. That then this picture, it's just Bruce's head, like just a close up, as little Lori is on his like nose and biting him and doing all the things, and you just see Sam in his suit, slightly under the camera, because this is what the still shot is, where he is like making this face of complete maniacal joy, where he's like, and he's beating like with the stick and the doll on Bruce's face, and because he's the director, conveniently never yelled cut and like was doing it for like a long time, and Bruce like, I don't miss that shit, Sam. You get one. You're lucky, buddy. You're lucky. And I'm telling you, that's the only person he really tortured, because they're practically brothers. So.
Oh, see, I have the same. So you haven't seen it yet. I'll send you my movie 12 Cam. But my brother.
I was reading about it. I'd love to see it.
My brother has been helping me since he was a kid, so he's been in a bunch of my stuff. We actually
your little brother.
My little brother, yeah. He's a paramedic in real life. I call him the American hero. He goes out and he does all this shit. And so we gave him an alternate name. We gave him a stage name. We called him Barry Goodhart. It was his name. And if you go on IMDb, he's got a bunch of credits because I always throw him in there. And
wait, that's what the name?
Barry Goodhart.
Not as the character, what his name.
His name is. Yeah. So
that's great, man.
So then we have him in the movie, and every time I do a movie, he always laughs. He's like, I'm either doing construction, I'm either building sets, or I'm on camera. And so I call him up for 12 Cam, and he goes, all right, what do you want? You want me to help you build? And I go, yeah, you can help me build. He goes, cool. You need me on camera? And I was like, why? You want to be on camera? He goes, yeah, I want to be on camera. I go, okay, all right, cool. Aww. So then I tell him, you're going to be on camera this day. We're doing a studio day. And I'm not going to give away the ending, but we're doing a studio day. And there's a sequence where it's a longer story. I convinced my uncle, who's in it, who's really great.
Great.
Who's been in, I did this music video for Meshuggah years ago, which is this heavy metal band. And my uncle was in that, and I convinced him to be in a cod piece because he had to play this character, right? Now, this is my uncle that I grew up, he come dressed as Santa to my house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so he was in a cod piece, so I call him to do this movie, and I said to him, like, I have this part for you at the end. It's super creepy. You got a creepy fucking face. You're perfect for it.
You have a creepy
and he goes, okay. And I didn't tell him about any of the details. So he's like, is there lines? Is there a script? I go, you're not a fucking actor. There's no lines. There's no lines for you. You have nothing to say. And he goes, all right. And so then the 2 days before, I said to him, so here's what I'm thinking. I need you to be naked. And he goes, what? And I go, yeah, like full balls out, fucking naked. And he goes, really? I go, yeah, it's a special effect. I mean, how often do you see naked guys in horror movies? It's going to freak the fuck out of everybody. I said, it's perfect. It's going to be great. And he has this moment, he takes this moment, he pauses, and he's like, is there going to be, are the makeup artists still girls? And I go, yeah. He goes, okay. I go, all right. So then I cast him for it. Now I have my actual actor who's opposite him, this kid Ara that I've worked with for years. And I said to Ara, at the end of it, you're in this place, you can't tell what it is. I think it's really important for the story that you should be naked. You should look like you're naked. And he's like, all right, so do I have to actually be naked? I said, I can do a lot with lighting. We'll sock it up. We'll do whatever we got to do. And he's like, okay. So then a couple of days before, my uncle's there. And I was just like, well, he's fully naked. It's so,
oh my goodness.
And so then Ara was like, oh, well, let's try to dress this thing. And we do this stuff. So Ara had it all dressed. And then there's this bit where he's in the blackness, and you'll see, he's in the blackness. It's all practical because I like practical shit.
Mm-hmm, the best.
And all these black hands come out of the blackness, and they grab onto him and they pull him into the darkness, right? Mm-hmm. Coming back to my brother. So my brother's there on set, and he goes, what am I doing today? And I was like, oh, you're gonna be a demon. And he was like, okay.
Good heart's going
Good heart's going in, yeah. So I said, you just got to get your arms made up. So he's like sitting there, and there's photos of him getting his arms painted black and his hands painted black, and he's like, they're videotaping him in the chair, and he's like, the things I did. He's super American hero. The things I have to do. He does all that shit. And so then he comes on set, and he goes, where am I supposed to be? And I go, well, you're going to be behind Ara, the lead, on the ground, and you have to reach around him and grab him from the ground. And my brother looks at him, and the actor's wearing a codpiece, bare-assed, and my brother literally has to be on his knees behind him, hugging his bare ass.
I mean, he's a paramedic. I'm sure
to get his hands around.
It must just be like the context, right?
Oh, and I fucking loved it. Like every time we did a take, and he's like reaching around, I was like, "We gotta go again." He's like, "I think we got it." And I go, "No, enough from the hands."
Because what's probably funny, if he had like do some
he wouldn't have cared.
But it's a different context.
Because he knew why I was doing it. And he knew the context of why I put him in that scenario. And he's like, "You fucking asshole." And I was like, "No, it's good. This is good. This is good for the screen." So yeah, he's in it.
Oh man, how is that? Did you use that scene? Because
yeah.
I was gonna say, what would have been like?
If I didn't have been in on the editing floor.
Be like, we were just testing it out. We could go.
No, but I love it. I keep saying that I wanted to go pitch on a new Godzilla movie, and I'm like, I want to do a Godzilla movie, and I want to go back to the suits. I want to do rubber suits. And the guy who writes with me, Will, was like, why do you want to do rubber suits? I go, because I want to put my brother in that fucking rubber suit. He's not allowed to get out.
You are Sam, too, and your brother is Ted. Ted Raimi almost died, I found out, playing Henrietta in Evil Dead 2 because, he was a 20-year-old kid. They had him in these prosthetics. He was 108 degrees. He was losing. He passed out or something.
Yeah.
And anytime he would talk about it, because then he had to do Henrietta again, for our show. And Sam was like, Bruce, because Sam was there. So Bruce said, I'm Ted Raimi and I almost died for the movie. Yeah, that's what we all had to do. He said, did you ever have a real chainsaw 1 inch from your face? Do you know that because they were just 20 years old, doing a little bunch of things, they used a real fucking chainsaw. Did not take the blades off. Sorry, I'm definitely going to stop swearing because every time I do, you write it down.
No, swear away.
No, every time.
Stop confusing her.
No, I'm kidding. It's a good deflector, mate. No, it's not. You did nothing wrong. Don't fire him. He did nothing wrong.
I can't.
I did it to test it, and I was like, "Yep." I like figuring things out.
You gotta keep him on his toes.
Oh no, he can keep me on my toes. That's better. But so he they used real blades. And I was like, why did they just not take off the blades? He's like, no one knew how or figured it out. Like, truly, the things that they actually did. But so anyway, I have a soft spot for your brother, and only that I heard a lot of the stories from Ted about. I was like, Ted, like truly, because he couldn't breathe. I mean, that doesn't breathe, that Henrietta thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's not like
No, it's all fucking
and
sealed up.
It's not like you got a union. It's there with your brother, and he's the kid brother. You better. I'm just saying.
The union rep comes over, and it's just like, not for this one. He's not on your watch. You can go home early today. Yeah. No.
Oh, it's great, man. Oh, you're.
But that's part. I think that's why I like making horror movies. Is I like to tease people. I like to get people going, and I like to scare fucking people. That's. At the end of the day.
That's a pretty good genre to do if you like to do
at the end of the day, that's what it is. I mean, you'd hate to be. I'm scaring Gina all the fucking time, and it drives her.
Oh,
insane.
I would kill you.
Oh, it's
don't.
The best.
I jump one. That's why I was like, there's no. I also was like, I like horror. I don't like jump scares, and I'm the kind of person that I will put a piece of toast, in the toaster, and I will get my orange juice, and the toaster will pop up, and I'll go, ah! And I'll like, I swear to God. Someone knocks on the door. Sorry, that was probably very loud as well. I'm dead serious. The mailman puts it in the mailbox, and you hear it go punk. And if it's really quiet, I mean, like truly, I am very jumpy.
Oh, I can't wait to show you my shit then. I can't wait.
Oh God, no, I can't. Then I definitely can't be eating or drinking during that. I mean, I honestly had a hard time filming half the stuff that were jump scares. I actually ruined a take for Sam. Oh God, that's a true. Oh, I forgot about that.
Oh, what's this?
This will be short. The scene because again, Sam only directed the first one, which was the pilot.
Sure. Which, by the way, was fucking fantastic. And for the audience that hasn't seen the show, I'm going to cut you off.
Please do.
It's just Sam.
Finally, I told you to.
Sam has such a grasp of the technique. Like, he is such an amazing visual storyteller. Just that gag he did, and I think it was in the first one, I'm almost positive, that flashlight fucking gag on the floor that he did. Do you remember where the two detectives were in the room and the flashlights just...
Yeah.
And the flashlight's spinning on the floor, and that was his whole gag. And of course, the flashlight is spinning for an unnatural amount of fucking time.
You're exactly right.
But it works so goddamn well. And the thing I love about Raimi is that he has this personality with how he shoots his camera, with how he shoots his shots, with how he does his blocking, with how he fucking tortures the shit out of you guys. Like, that comes across on screen as fun. And it's fucking scary. I mean, one of my favorite movies from him is Drag Me to Hell.
Oh, yeah.
That movie. And it looks like he put... What's her name that was in the movie? I can't remember.
Was it Jane Levy? No.
No. Was it Amber Heard? No, it wasn't Amber Heard.
It wasn't Jane Levy?
Who was it? Look it up for us. You would think I should know these things.
I'm thinking of...
Anyway, it looked like he beat... Like, she was like covered in mud at the end of the movie. It looked like he was just throwing mud on her and water on her. It looked like it was a blast.
Yes. Well, it's a blast when you're on that side. Yeah, spoken like a true director. Yeah. It's a real blast. It's all fun and games till someone gets hypothermia and, an eye infection from the mud in your eye. Who was it? Was it
Alison Lohman?
Oh.
Was it Alison Lohman?
Drag Me to Hell?
I've never seen Drag Me.
She's the lead. She was the blonde actress in the lead.
Oh.
Huh.
All right.
Weird.
Oh,
I thought she
Jane
was
Levy
good.
was the remake.
Playing Christine Brown.
Maybe. I don't know.
Either
I'm
way,
a fucking
great
piece
movie.
of shit. Yeah, it's a fantastic movie. I'm a piece of shit for not knowing that.
No. You're not. I don't know half the thing. I don't know. I don't even know titles of things.
I'm supposed to be a host. I'm just sitting here going, yeah. And I should know these
It's
things.
okay. Well, you know what? You put out a beautiful spread of
It's
charcuterie
a
and
little
cheese.
bit of
Let's-
the gabagoo.
But
Gabagoo today.
you're right that he does. He has kind of like what I was saying to you about your photography. He has such a point of view.
Yeah.
Considering he also then is credited with the point of view of the object that was never done, obviously.
Yeah.
Or that's what he's credited with, is the you know what I mean? Unless it had been done and I'm mistaken, but that's what I was told and saw, and it's those kinds of things of just he has such a mastery of the blend of making over the top, not over the top in a stupid way. It's over the top in like a wonderful way, which is I've never heard of anyone doing that.
Yeah.
It's comedy and it's horror, it's all the things. And yeah, working with him was, he knows, he sees it and he knows exactly what he wants to start with. And then a lot of times he'll, at least that in that experience for me, he would adjust. Like he's not married to something if it's not working in that, but he has such a vision, and he's so, can I just also just give him props too? Because he is one of those people. He learned he was there for maybe a month. He learned every single assistant's name, PA's name.
That's so important.
I called them by name. I am really good at faces, and I like to learn people's names all the time anyway, just because I do. Because also you never know who you're going to need to be on your side and whatever.
Who's going to be your fucking director next time?
Yeah, right. Yeah. We're right. But also that's how I live life. I don't.
Sure.
I've been a server too long at waiting tables to be treated, when you're treated like a second class citizen just because you're doing your job. It's like, what? We're the same. As my mother would say, we put on our pants the same way. One leg at a time. I don't even know what that means, but she always said it. Puts the pants the same way you do. One leg at a time. And I don't know what that analogy is, but all right, I'll take it. But he made it a point and did not announce, like, he wasn't like showy about it. It was, they would do like a $5 Fridays or whatever, and on his last day, $5 Fridays meaning everyone puts in $5 and then they draw a name.
I've heard about this, yeah. They do.
Okay, so it's very big in New Zealand and Auckland. And so on this particular day, which was his last day, he put in like $5,000 or something.
Oh, wow.
And gave it to they pretended to call the first name, and he had already told them, I want it to split between the three PAs, the three girls. Because there were three PAs at the time, like that were dealing, that were on set stuff.
Sure.
And these girls, it was like they won the lottery, because then it had everyone else's money too,
Yeah.
And he never said it. Everyone found out about it later. That he wanted to make sure that they're like, oh, we got three at the same time. Like, that's the kind of guy that he is, without ever being like, I did this, everybody. And he knew everyone's name from the cafeteria worker, and those were different every day, different catering. And that I feel like it's the people like that is why they are also successful. I know there are shitty people that are, but with Sam, I think that's just a good way to be. You can be somebody like him.
Yeah.
And still be the least intimidating person in the room, in the sense that you're looking to somebody in the eye, no matter what their position is. You're collaborating with people. You're asking them what they think. You're asking them how they are. I don't give a shit who you are.
Yeah.
There's no need to not be that. And Sam Raimi made that very, very, very clear.
It's so great to hear. And I've talked about this on the show before. I was really lucky early in my career to actually go and hang out with the Farleys. So Peter and Bobby Farley.
Oh, nice.
And those guys, at one point, one of their producers was going to potentially do one of my things. So I actually got to go to their sets and be a guest on their sets, which was really great. And as a director, you don't normally get that. Directing is like such a lonely, as far as your peers go, you're not really interacting with other directors. Right. And I think if you go on another set from another director, especially if they treat you as a contemporary, there's a little bit of like a competition that happens, and there's a little bit of a worry that's on set. So not saying that I was even close to being contemporaries with these guys, but I had the
But
opportunity.
it's still a threat. It's a threat in a different way.
Exactly.
Even if you're not trying to be that, some
like,
people.
what is this? Is he judging me?
Yeah.
Is
Right.
like
and
all
it's
of
like
that.
Some people either look at you as a threat, or some people look at you as like, let me help you, let me guide you. And
Right.
those are the two kinds of people in the world, I think.
And these guys, I mean, when Peter won for Green Book was what it was. When he won for that.
Wow, what a great movie.
And, it was bad, the situation when he won it. It was like, this is the best fucking guy I've ever met in my life.
It was a bad situation.
Remember, he was getting all sorts of shit. There was something that happened that, I forget the specifics of it, but it was shrouded by politics. There was some sort of politics involved with it.
And it's like, that was just, and it was a true story. It's a great movie. It was
And
very well done.
he's just such a goddamn gentleman. And when you see him on set, and when you're on set with these guys, it was early in my career, and it's really shaped how I run my sets. You see them interacting with their teams and their crews is so fucking happy to be there.
That's it.
Everybody's so happy to be there. And I'll see him go over to his boom op and literally talk to his boom op and say to him, what do you think of that performance? And the boom op would do that.
Okay, then they are very much cut from the same cloth.
And it was just, because that's the set as a kid, because when you start directing, you pick up a camera and you run around with your friends.
Exactly.
And you're hanging out with your friends, and your friends are just like, that's fucking stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you want. And when I do my films, when I produce my films, I'm the boss. So I can do whatever I want on set. And so I'll generally have a second monitor in a room further away from the actors and the talent. And in that room is usually like my parents, people that I know like movies, that I want to watch movies. And so then they're just in that back room watching the stuff. So on occasion, I'll just sort of go in there and I'll be like, it was fucking rad, right? And have them go like, yeah, it was really cool. Or have them be like, it would have been really cool if this had happened. And you're like, that's kind of, all right. Well, yeah, maybe I'll take those ideas back to set. You know what I mean? And I really like that set. And I never would have got that if I hadn't spent the time with these guys. And I was so gracious and so happy that I was able to be there, because you get to see dudes at the top of their game. Like the guy, I mean, something about Mary and all that kind of shit. Like top of their fucking game. Running sets where people are all fucking happy and excited to be there, and knowing everybody's names. Okay, look, if you're, because a lot of young directors watch this or listen to the show.
Hello, young directors. I'm available for hire.
But, and I've talked about this on the show before, like a lot of people they assume that directors have all the answers. They assume that at the end of the day, you're the one that knows everything. You're the guy that has all these, like, how does this happen? How does this scene happen? And I remember as a young director on my first day doing my student film that I had done, I had storyboarded everything out. Like, I'm a guy that can draw shit, so I had storyboarded everything out. I was setting up all the shots. And then I had the actress come over to me, and she's like, how do you want me to move through this scene? Like, what do you see? And it just blew my mind. For a minute, I went like, oh, just sit on the fucking couch, was what I was like saying.
Right.
Just sit on the couch. But then it was like, oh shit, right. Like, how do you, God damn it. So I had this young kid moment where it's like, I don't know the fucking answers. I don't know. So let's figure these things out.
Too.
Yeah.
And I think that's one, and I think that's a very astute point you bring up that I have learned from the acting side and from shadowing some directors, like the great Stephen Conrad, which if you haven't been turned on to him, sidebar, I just want, make a note of this on there. no,
make a fucking note.
He will remind me to either email you about it later, but you guys are, I think you would, if you don't know, he does he's done everything. He's a writer also who's done wrote A Secret Life of Walter Mitty and Pursuit of Happiness.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
he also like you has such a great eye, and his stuff is like moving pictures. And I shadowed him for what the show I worked on with him, which was Perpetual Grace Limited. But he does Amazon. I mean, he does Amazon. He does Patriot on Amazon. Anyway, I think sidebar. I really want to put you in touch because I think that's along the lines of what we're saying. But you did bring up a point that I think is very astute, which is, certain that I've learned, certain directors have certain strengths. And they're sometimes, and they're always very different. Some directors are really good at, or prefer to like really have a hands-on what the scene's gonna like, or the cinematography with the frame, the shot.
Sure.
Whereas some are like, I trust whatever my cinematographer's gonna do. Here's what I'm going for. Some are really specific with what they want, and some, which was my experience with Sam Raimi, was I don't know why I said his name. Like I was like, well, I just want to make sure we remember in case people are just coming back to Sam, he was very much, I loved the way he directed because he was more, he'd tell you a direction of like, that wasn't direct. So it was something, I'm trying to think of something, like the scene where I had to do with Bruce and I had to do it. It was pretty clear. And especially because we'd done this scene so many times at this point because it was the audition scene. Mm-hmm. And Sam, now granted, we had a lot of takes with Sam because he had 22 days to shoot. And the day he left, it was 5 days. And holy hell, hold on to your hat, guys, because that was, whoa, that was insane. Anyway, but Sam would come up and say, in this scene between me and Bruce, he would say, okay, that was great. Let's try this again. And this time, I want you to sort of say everything to him like you used to have a crush on him, but he scorned you, and now you really want nothing to do with him, which was not at all what the character dynamic is. And then the next time he would say, okay, let's do this again. And you just found out as soon as you're done with this conversation, you're going to go on the vacation of your dreams too. He's like, wherever you always wanted to go. Like would ask me where, like as Dana. And I'm like, Fiji. He's like, you're going to Fiji as soon as he walks away. And they were things that you try and translate for yourself. And then if you're like, no. And I learned now, which I wish I knew then, to just trust. Like I tried to overthink it.
Yeah.
And then she was like, yeah, let's not do that. But I feel like there's some people like that where he doesn't want to tell you what to do. He's not, at all. Mm-hmm. But he tries to help you find it. Yeah. And that way, some directors, I want them to give me a line read because I'm not getting the note that they want. Right. I think it's all. So I think my point is, it's okay to not always have the answers. And sometimes, for me, mm-hmm. I'm the kind of person that's like, sometimes if it's that case, if it's that with that actor who came up to you, said, mm-hmm. how do you see the scene going? If it's just sit on the fucking couch. Sit on the fucking couch. And that's what I would say. Yeah. If it is something that's a little more involved, just be like, let's see where it goes. Sorry, I keep hitting the mic.
It's all good.
And I think also you're going to deal with, as directors, young directors, listen up. Yeah. I think the best directors I've worked with are ones that learn how to tailor their notes to
specific actors? In
a way of like, giving a note to Bruce Campbell or Ben Kingsley. Uh-huh. Is going to be approached very differently than giving a note to extra number 7. Yeah. And only just because you're giving a note and you could be a little bit more, I'm trying to say like, that's not actually the best idea. Some people like me, can't just take something and I get think about it too much. So he could just say something very simple to me and then to them, just look at them, like give them one word. Some people like a lot of words. Some people want to discuss it. Some people don't interrupt the flow.
Sure.
I think to be a good director is to be a good anything, which is you have to have the ability to read the room and the situation, mm-hmm. So that how, if it's not being understood, then try a different tactic,
And then how to approach somebody. Like, I agree with you. And with me, obviously I'm about to do 2 features, which hopefully will happen. But with me, I've just done commercial stuff. And most of the time when you do commercial shit, you just don't have that time.
Yes.
It's a whole other fucking game.
That's what yeah.
And then you're dealing with like long ass casting sessions. And then you maybe have like 15 minutes with an actor before you go out in that scenario.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I learned doing casting for that stuff is that in the casting sessions, and you brought this up earlier, I have the greatest respect for actors that go and do casting sessions because it's a fucking nightmare.
It's a fucking nightmare. Can I tell you, I have tiny violin, life's hard for everybody, but I will say, and you touched upon this in one of your other podcasts about just the disrespect sometimes. Mm-hmm. It's like, look, I'm just trying to do a job like anybody else, but like to call me back 14 times, make me wait 3.5 hours, that now make me wait, like not me, I'm saying everybody, but like to make people wait for no reason because you want to take a lunch and that everything else went wrong. All of these things, by the way, are things that have actually happened, and they're things that you just don't think about anymore because it'll kill you. I think it'll kill me if I really put in all this thought to all these times that these kinds of things have happened, specifically with commercials. Some have been great, but not many. But they make you wait. You are, like I said, especially here going to Santa Monica where there's no parking and your meter that you've had to feed now 7 times, now it has a ticket because you were told you were going to be up in 5 minutes and now it's been an hour and a half. Now you're late for your job. Now your job's threatening that you're going to be fired. And after all of that, you go in the room and the clients, it's never the director.
It's always the fucking clients.
The clients are sitting there not looking up once from their phone. Wow, you tapped it. Do you see? I'm like, suddenly look at my hands. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh God. Guys, I'm so sorry. I'm suddenly like, you tapped into something.
It's true. It's true. It drives me fucking insane.
And by the way, you can, I know you walk in the room in 30 seconds, you know if it's not that person. Fine, don't, but like at least when I walk in the room, hello, just look me in the eye. Hi. And look, if you really, your Instagram feed can't wait, whatever they're doing. I think that is, to me, that's like, look, I am literally in here 30 seconds. My life is in flames to be able to do this. And if you don't want me, you don't want me. Fine, I'll deal with it. That's this business is 99.999% rejection. But at least have the common courtesy to give me 20 seconds of your time when I've given you so much of yours and now lost money doing this. You know, that's all.
It drives me crazy. And when I'm in those scenarios, I've had clients turn to me because here's the thing. I feel like if an actor sits out in the lobby and waits all day, and I know, like you said, when someone first walks in the room, this is a person that I want to see in front of the camera the whole time. You just know. And it's not something that you can bring together. And sometimes there's surprises. Sometimes you're like, that's the person I want. And then you show up and it's like, whoa, I had no fucking idea what was going on. And I'd like that person. But if you're there, even if I know who the person is, at least the least I can offer the people that are in the hallway is to come in and practice performing in front of me.
And can I just slow clap you, Mike?
I'm not looking for that. I'm just saying
I know you're not, but I really want to say that's a really beautiful thing, and I will work with you any day of the week then, because like that, I know that sometimes you can't just do that with especially with time and permitting and all that stuff.
Fuck time.
But I appreciate that you as a director would be like, look, I can't control the clients. They're the ones paying for this commercial. I'm here to do my job. But if I'm going to do that, I'm also going to kind of serve these people to at least give them a moment of like, hey, learn how to take a note. I'm going to give them a note and see, and just they can, because it is always a learning experience. I appreciate
but from both sides, man.
Well, sure.
Because then I can sit there and work with actors all fucking day.
We're not complaining about having to sit around and wait. That is truly the dawn of the business. You sit around, you know,
we all
and
do,
you have to, right, I'm saying, but it's
all
also like then all of a sudden the pressure is on the actor because it's not the director that's going to get shunned. It's not the editor straight away. It's not the writer that's going to get shunned. It's not the makeup artist. It's going to be all fall on the actor if it doesn't deliver. Does that make sense? That's why I think people get so much pressure, because people in the industry might be like, well, the writing. No, it always is the fault.
Right. Did you go see that Bruce Willis movie? Did you go see that?
Exactly.
Yeah,
so that's why it's a little bit of pressure that way. But I guess what I just want people to know, I'm not trying to confuse with talking very specifically about commercial auditions when it's been 13, 14, 15 times you've gone in. I don't want people to think we're saying actors shouldn't have to wait. That's not the issue. What we're trying to say is speak to something larger, which this tends to be a pattern, specifically in the commercial world. It's not about you have the job already and you're waiting. It's about, and it's not even about like, I don't want to sound like, oh, don't make me wait. That's not at all what we mean. It's a matter of like, look, this is truly a 30-second commercial that all you have to do is eat a French fry. And you are ruining my life. And then you're not even, I just hit the mic. And then you're not even looking at me when I'm in here. That, that's what we're trying to say. I just don't want people to be like, oh, so they had to wait. Big deal. That's your job. Right. But that's not what I mean in this case.
It's a whole different, okay. So I always equate casting for commercials as the same thing as couch shopping. It's literally the same thing. It's like you're like, I need to find a blue couch. The couch needs to be like fluffy. It needs to have all this sort of shit. And then everybody has their own opinions on couches. Like you can have 4 people sit on a couch and go,
absolutely.
This is the best couch ever. And that's the problem with the commercials, is that it isn't just like a director or producer that's making these calls. It's a committee.
Absolutely.
That's making these fucking calls.
And at that point, it's not your creative thing. No,
exactly. And so then when you're in that mode and you have all these people, it's really tough. And it's
I don't know how you do it. I have friends that do
I don't know how you guys fucking do it. Like as far as acting goes, I think it's fast. Look, as a director, I can hide. I can hide behind my movies. I can hide behind my camera. I can hide behind my shit. Like people may look at my stuff and may look at my photos and like my photos, and they may not like my photos. And then I'll just put out another good photo and I'll put out something else, and they'll go, "Oh, it's a fucking amazing. This guy's a fucking genius."
It's objective anyway.
Exactly. But as an actor, you're just, this is for sale. This is for sale. Your personality's for sale. And then that's who you are as a person. And then that's being judged upon like every fucking day.
Well, and then beyond that, the real kicker of all of that, if you get past all that, you are not even in control a little bit of your performance on TV and film. That's why we all prefer. That's why I prefer theater, because that's even now more cutthroat than ever. But it's like at the end of the day, even if you give the performance that like, I hate most of my scenes that came out with Sam's episode. And it's funny because he would actually invite us to watch the monitor and a couple things and say, "Hey, I want you to learn. This is what I liked that you did here. This is what I didn't." Mm-hmm. And I thought that was a great thing. I know we didn't ever have time to the rest after him, the rest of the season, we didn't have time to watch the monitor.
You guys
it would only be if it was a physical thing.
You guys are doing fucking TV.
Right,
so
exactly. Well, and also TV that we were shooting like a movie, and it was beyond it with practical effects that half the time it takes 3 times to set up and to clean up. It was tough, but it was good. It was like a great man. It was a good crash course in a way, right? So anyway, but I remember the scenes that I did with him. We would do, like I said, we had 7, 8 takes often, like if we wanted to. And I would see them. I'm like, oh my God, I don't like, because I hate watch. It's just a thing. I'm sure everybody says that, but it's true. It's like, I don't want it, like, because you think it's like hearing your voice, right? You think it's one way, and then you hear yourself on a machine. You're like, is that
and
what
then you're
really
analyzing your movements.
You're like, is that what I look like? Is that what I do? Wait, when did I do that? But anyway, there were scenes because of his, that's me every day. So glad I got in this business, you guys. There were a couple scenes that he let me watch with him in full of takes. I'm sorry, a couple takes. Mm-hmm. And I remember for the first time being like, okay, in my head, I was like, I hate that one, but I don't hate the other 2. And I was like really excited. I'm like, oh my God, this is what it means when you have a good director. This is what it means when you're not rushed. This is what it means when you are a lead on a show. You don't get, you're there and you're given the time. You're given the time.
Yeah.
And yet what ended up happening and coming out, I was like, that isn't at all what I saw on the day. And it's fascinating, although I think actually Sam might have edited it, but my point being is, I don't know if he did, but my point is, I'm really good at judging what I think is good with myself.
Okay.
Like as Sam Raimi told me, he's like, you have good instincts. Sure. I know if I get it, and I know if I miss the mark. And I guess one of the toughest things about being the actor is, like you're saying, the face and the this, and then you're judged on this, and you're judged on the person, and yet then also the final product isn't even in your control. Yeah. Because you have, great, Sam was the best director, Sam, and like this and that, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, this sound was ruined on this take, so we're going to use this. And then the editor comes in, and I'm telling you, editors, young directors, now that I'm the second, I feel like they're all sitting there with their pens and pencils.
That's right. Yeah,
taking notes. Young directors, take note. Find an editor that gets you and that is in alignment with you. I don't know how that all works. I know that once you get to a certain level, you can bring in your own editor, but just find people like you're saying that all want to be there, that are telling the same kind of story. Because I'm telling you, I have seen editors make me look awesome, way better than I definitely was, for sure. And I have seen them like not. And again, it's not about me; it's for the story. But I'm just saying, unless you're number 1 on the call sheet, I've also seen just editors make or break something.
Sure.
And no pressure on them, but like you have to have I found that the things that work the best are, like you were saying earlier with Farley, like everybody wanted to be there, all the crew. That really is, everyone should try and be like Cassavetes, which is in the sense of like, you find your group, mm-hmm. and that's your group. Mm-hmm. And when you find your group along the way, doing the jobs you have to do, remember those people, keep in touch with them, because I'll tell you, working on something like that with Stephen Conrad, that's what he's done. He uses the same people mm-hmm. as much as he can. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you what, it was a camp I didn't want to leave. It was like the best summer camp I never attended. Like, honest to God, it was, and something happens when you have that kind of camaraderie and chemistry, because I'm telling you, I have no patience for any other actor on this planet that has an ego when Sir Ben Kingsley has no ego whatsoever at all. And you watch him on camera, you watch him live when I was shadowing, and I went into it being like, yeah, I mean, Sir Ben, great. I didn't watch a lot of his stuff. And then you're there and you're like, I really can't explain it. I don't get impressed a lot. Like, I mean, I didn't breathe. No one breathed. Like, that's how that is. Boom. He is a Sir for a reason. And so I guess my point is, but if he doesn't have an ego,
sure,
then nobody should have an ego. And
sure.
But it also comes from the way that Steven set the bar.
The
way that Sam Raimi set the bar.
It comes from the top.
It comes from the top. So that's my other point. It's just, you know, learn everybody's name when you can. I know there's a lot going on, but like also the secret sauce to having stuff that works. You hear it all the time for the TV shows that end up blowing up. You hear it all the time for the films, that it's when everybody gets along. Everybody wants to be there. Everybody's excited.
You can feel it. Like if you watch something on TV and you're like, everybody was laughing or having fun on the set. And that's why it's fucking great. That's why it's fucking great. And you can tell. And you can tell when it sucks. It's like, I don't want to drop any movies, but Terminator Salvation. Like that movie is supposedly terrible. And you can just see in it that the crew was probably miserable, that everybody was miserable, that it was just coming. And at the end of the day, I was talking to my cinematographer about it yesterday. You have to ask yourself a question when you're going to start a project, especially if you're going to do something that's long running, like a fucking movie or a TV series.
Right. What's that?
You got to ask yourself, why?
I'm clapping again for you.
Why am I doing it? What is the reason? Why am I starting to do this thing? Am I doing this because I have a great idea? Am I doing it because I'm in love with something? Or am I doing this because there's this cool new technology out and I want to play with this new tech?
Which is fine. There's no wrong answer, but you're so right, Mike.
You have to have that. Or is it, we want to make money? It's like, which one of these things is fueling the scenario? Because if it's that you love it, and I feel like with a lot of Sam Raimi's older movies, they had to fucking love it for everything they were going through.
Yeah.
So if you love it, I can get you pumped. Like if you and I sit down and I pitch you on something that I'm fucking pumped about and I like it and I have this character that I really like, you'll be excited. You'll be bouncing off the fucking
because
wall.
it's palpable. Yeah,
exactly.
That
and it's
passion.
just like, that's what you want. But if I come in and I'm like, yeah, I got this gig. You want a gig? I got a job. You want to work on this job? You need some money today? All right, cool. Let's go do this fucking job. You know what I mean? And then,
but that's also, I guess I just want to say, like, that could be, it's okay as long as everyone is on the same page of that. Is like, look, we need to do this so that I can make the thing I really want.
Exactly.
And that's when you're like, look, so I can't maybe pay you that much on this one, or we can't make this one. But if we do this right and we do the work to get the thing we really want to do, you're coming with me. I think it's a very important thing you're bringing up, because I think people don't want to be honest with themselves. And I think,
well, there's a mistake that, and this is what the show kind of hopefully does, is that I wanted to just sort of erase the fucking mystique. I wanted to get rid of the Instagram filters. I wanted to do all that crap.
Yeah.
Because from the outside, it's like, what is directing? What is making movies? Yeah. Oh, I get to be a god. I get to be the guy that has all the answers. I get to be the woman that knows everything. I get to be this actor that everybody fucking adores and all that kind of shit. But at the end of the day, it's none of that.
It is literally none of that.
It's like the most tedious, soul-sucking, fucking unappreciative task that you will ever want to do.
And guys, let that takeaway be, so you better make sure you fucking love it.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you,
yeah.
I have seen the Instagram culture. I don't want to, I'm not saying all the you youngins, but it has been the YouTube generation, where now people, quote unquote, become famous from YouTube. Mm-hmm. If that's what you want, by all means, but that is not going to serve you, because if you don't, you can't be results based. Mm-hmm. If you are doing something because you want because of the result,
right?
Well, if I do this, I'm going to be famous. No. That's one thing that I preach always, because I see it more and more. It's like, like what you said, ask the question.
Why? And
the big question is, why are you doing this in general? The only answer can be because I have to.
Right. I can't do anything else.
And even if it and let me tell you, I'm somebody, I didn't start doing this full time for the first time in my life after 15 years was when I did Evil Dead. And now I'll tell you again, it also, this business does, just because you get to a thing.
Doesn't mean you're gonna stay there.
No, hello. Now I'm back and looking, I'm like, well, maybe I could, during the slow time, could maybe go back and, be an assistant or something. I'm like, who would have thought? I thought once you get to a certain point of like in a video game, I graduated to the next level on Mario Brothers. Great.
Yeah.
No, you can just be kicked down to the bottom for no reason. And that's what this whole business always is.
Yeah.
That's what you're only as, what are all those the golden era Hollywood? You're only as good as your last picture. Yeah. Which, but so my point is, just because even when you think, and this was advice I got, the thing that you think is going to make you so happy, well, once I get this job, once I work with this actor.
Exactly.
Let me tell you, it's not. And I was told that, and I was like, yeah, but it's going to be kind of nice to not have to work at a bar. And it is. But he's right. Jeff Garland told me that a long time ago when I worked on the radio. He gave me some really solid advice that I didn't understand. I mean, I did. I thought I understood it until you go through it. Mm-hmm. And I think everyone really should believe it.
Yeah.
It would, because I'm telling you, it's a fact. It isn't the thing. You might solve some things in the meantime, but then you get there and you're like, okay, well, why is not everything so much better now? It's like more money, more problems, more, you get the dream job. Now there's more things, because then all of a sudden, then what happens if you get the dream job and you never work again?
Sure.
Which is a very real possibility. Would you rather, those are things you have to ask yourself. Would you be okay with never getting that dream job, never achieving what you set out to achieve, but being consistently working and being okay and being comfortable? Or do you only want to go for this if you get that? Because I think that's, when you love it, it really is, I hope that I make this, and I hope that this happens, and I'm going to bust my ass every day to make every possibility come true for me, that I can get to that point. But if I don't, that's okay too in the end, because I have to do this. And that's what I have tried to preach to people, is only do things that excite your spirit, because nothing is guaranteed. And that cheesy line people always say, it's the journey, not the destination. I've heard that my whole life. And I'm like, yeah, this journey's great. Yeah, no, I'm broke. I'm eating, ramen noodles for a week. No, it's fucking great. Sure, yeah, the journey. Let me tell you. And then all what I thought were my dreams came true. And it's suddenly like you're like, oh, that's what they mean. Because then you have to wake up the next day. And it's not like the high of the day you find out you get that job.
Yeah. I mean, it's the hardest part about, it's the same thing on our end, man. It's the hardest thing about this business is that it is so manic depressive. Like it's so like, you're like, you get that phone call and it's like, hey, we're going to do this fucking thing. You're like, yes, we're going to do this fucking, no, we're not going to do this thing. Oh my God. And so you're doing this ride. And when you say the journey, whenever you hear these stupid fucking quotes where you see them on people's shirts, like it's a journey, not that destination, you're just like, what the fuck does that mean? I think if you break that down and you look at it and you go, look, this is what I've always preached. Enjoy the process. Look around, see what's happening, enjoy it. Because I haven't told you the story, and this is something we can talk about off air, and I've talked about it on the show before, but the reason 12KM came to light was because I literally almost died. Cracked my skull.
Oh my God,
it was
really?
it was a big thing.
I need to hear this one.
Yeah, and so when you're at the fucking deathbed and the whole fucking thing, and you're sort of approaching the end, you sit there and what do you remember? Do I sit there and remember, hey, I remember when I made this movie, and I remember when I got accolades for this and I got an award for that? No. I remember the bullshit weird things, like, you remember when I did that location scout to a fucking closed power plant on a fucking Tuesday morning? That was weird. And remember when we went on that trip and we went and met that person that fed us that food? Remember how good that fucking food was? Those are the things. And after that, I came out of it and I was like, holy shit, I don't care about sure, I care about the final product, but I'm not doing it for the final product. I'd much rather be in the scenario in which people want to finance my shit so that I can continuously live this crazy fucking life.
And there is your answer. So I would say to you, keep doing what you're doing. And because you answered it that way. And I'm so excited that you shared that story, because I never got to bring this up. I love your title of this podcast.
Oh, thank
Enjoy
you.
the process, because about enjoy the journey. And you're right. It's about breaking it down, because that's the other thing. You look at people, and some people do have it so quote unquote easier. They haven't had to struggle for 15 years.
Sure.
They got lucky, and they might be less talented than you. They might be more talented. They might be as much, but it's one of those things. Just you're like, why does that person and not these other 10 people I know? But the thing is, it's almost like an interesting gift. It's like it's every movie we love. It's the theme of Rocky, and any underdog story is the more that difficult your journey is. I am now just learning this in a real way. The more difficult your journey is, the sweeter the high of when you get even close to something that pats you on the back in life. Does that make sense? It's like,
It totally does.
because when you don't have to work for something, think of it. If someone right now, just handed you
The keys to a fucking Ferrari, like you don't even know.
Oh my, yeah, you'd be stoked.
Yeah, but then you go out and you do fucking like you burn it around the corner and like throw it into a fire hydrant.
Or
Like,
I mean,
who
and
gives
not
a shit?
yes, probably, but
Yeah,
not even.
who
It's
gives
more
a
about
shit?
like I still would argue that to somebody who has wanted that Ferrari for 20 years and has slaved and worked multiple jobs and not gone on vacations, and not because all they did was wanted to afford this car. That person, when they drive that car, is going to feel a deeper and more
Connection to it.
encompassing joy
yeah.
than the person who didn't have to work as hard. So that's up to their own. Everybody, that's up to you. I'm just saying to everybody. Everyone's journey is different, but I'm just saying, have blinders on. Don't worry about who's getting the easier shot, because like I said, they could fizz out tomorrow. But also, like you said, Mike, that is the best advice you can give people. The name of this podcast, enjoy the process. And that doesn't mean on the worst days to be like, no, this is great. It's
No.
not. You don't need to do that. You're just saying, like, when you have that life or death moment,
Yep.
you are looking
What are you
back
gonna
and
remember?
and you
What are you gonna
are
remember?
laughing at the reason those victories taste so sweet is
Mm-hmm.
from the bullshit that then when you get to the point where everything's on the line and you're on your life or death,
Yeah.
that you think, oh my God, remember when we did that film that was with a crew and we were there 18 hours and we almost fell off the cliff and Bob almost died. Oh my God. And that she got hypothermia. He got a pen in his eye. And you start remembering the traumas of it in the way of like your war wounds.
Exactly.
And you're so right. You're not sitting there being like, remember when I won that award and I was standing there.
No.
You don't. You remember the things
Crazy
that you have done.
You crazy. Like I did
Right.
I did a film years ago, and it's like, remember the two crackheads that came out of the house next door to us in the middle of a thunderstorm, and they set up a kiddie pool and put metal chairs and a radio in a kiddie pool while the lightning was streaking through the sky. And you're like, yeah. Remember those? I wonder if they're still alive. It's like that kind of shit. And then what you were saying, I talk about this a lot too. It's all about, for me, it's toolbox. I call it a toolbox.
Yes, very, very good word.
And so when you go through these trials and tribulations, because that's essentially it, you're being tested. You go through this, whether you're an actor, you're a director, whatever the fuck you are. When you go through shit and you do stuff the wrong way, or the thing doesn't work out the way you want it to, you learn 3 times as much. And I find that if I go do something that doesn't work out the way I want it to, my toolbox is bloated with new techniques and new tricks and new things that I want to do and that I don't want to do. And the thing that's fascinating, we don't have to go too far down this hole. We've talked about it on the show recently. The fascination that our culture has, the business culture has, with making icons out of children, like tiny kids that are doing shit that get put on such a high fucking pedestal, and they don't have those life experiences and they don't have that stuff. They're easier to manipulate, and that's a whole other conversation. But then you hit that point where it's like, are you just a flash in a pan because you literally haven't had any life experiences before you have the opportunity to start telling stories to people? And then what are the stories that you're telling to people based upon that? And sure, there's a fascination in that world where you're living as a celebrity or you're trying to figure these things out. But I always go back to fucking Metallica, because you're a metal fan. Go back and you look at Metallica in the early days of Metallica when they were doing this shit, they're on the road and they're fucking tough and they're mean and they're doing the tour thing and it's all about joining the family and being a part of the band, and that's their thing. Then after they did the Black Album, and then they started to get into the Load album, the Reload album, and they were making loot, and it was all about like Range Rovers and taking their kids to fucking private school. Like, what does Metallica have to fucking rage about at that point? You know what I mean? And so it's an interesting thing, and I'm not judging them. I'm just trying to say that if you're a person that takes longer, if you're not the niece of a movie producer, or you're not someone that's getting put in these positions, look at that struggle as ammunition. Look at that struggle as a gift. It's a fucking good term.
Making you who you are. It's your gift.
And that goddamn toolbox that you're going to have where you're sitting there and you're just in a room and you and I are trying to figure out a scene and there are fucking 50 fucking crew people around us. And I'm like, there was this thing I did with my brother when I was home and it was two of us. We had a camera. What if we just do that? And then you're just like, boom.
You know, people don't become Martin Scorsese because they're Martin Scorsese. Those are all his life experience. Same with Tarantino. Same with Boon Jong-ho. All of those people, everything you are and everything you do comes from your life experience. And I love everything you're saying with the toolbox. And I would even take it a step further. The one thing I have also learned, although it's hard for me to necessarily remember it on all the days, but I think that this is pretty true. And I think if everyone looks at their own lives, honestly, from when you were kids, think of, and also other people's lives, that the things that you said that don't go your way. First of all, there are, I'm going to piggyback on what you said, and there is no mistake. You don't make mistakes. They're only lessons. And truly, you do actually learn more. It's a fact. It's like a scientific fact. Like if you're learning how to drive and you smash into a wall, you're going to learn what not to do way sooner than if you almost hit the wall. Does that make sense?
Totally does.
You're going to be a little bit more careless. You're like, well, I missed it that time. That's a dumb analogy, but you know what I mean.
You're getting all those specifics, yeah.
Right. But so you said if it doesn't turn out the way you want, because again, this has been a lifelong struggle for me personally as a control freak, but especially I've had no choice in this business. You cannot have an attachment to the outcome, no matter what. That's why I'm saying it's good to be honest and say, I'm doing this for the money, I'm doing this for this. But if you are in this business because the bottom line is you just want to be a well-known, respected director. You just want to be a well-known, respected actor or icon, whatever. That's not the right answer because that's putting all of your attention on the outcome that you are not in control of even a little bit, no matter how good you are. Some of the most brilliant, talented people, like we were talking about, are not working. So it doesn't matter. But I also would venture to say that if it doesn't turn out the way you think it does, that actually is a blessing in disguise. I learned that when I read The Alchemist forever ago. Got it. I don't even, that's probably so not cool to mention, but it's true. Paulo Coelho. And I just like the perspective of it because it's that lily pad. Think of your life. That's what I was saying. Think of anything in your life, not even in this business, where you can remember something went quote unquote wrong. Yeah. The complete opposite of like you wanted to get into the school and you didn't. You asked this girl out and you did. And I beg of you to tell me that it's not true, that because that happened was the lily pad to get you to this thing. You know what I mean? Like if you hadn't gotten rejected from that school, you would have never gone to this one. You would have never met that person and never done this and never learned that you like this. And then I'm just saying, and that's not just a bullshit like, feel better, look on the positive side. No, I don't know why I keep doing this voice. I was like, it's like some weird voice. That was like it was like blended from Sam Raimi, but Sam Raimi does not talk like this. Sam is a little bit more soft spoken, a little bit more like this. I think I don't know why I do that voice, but it really is about it's a fact, and I think that once you go through it enough and you realize because it's the trick is having the hindsight is 20/20. The trick I'm trying to master is having the hindsight before the 2020, having the, so you know what I mean?
You're a visionary at that point. You're what's the term I'm looking for?
Psychic,
yeah. I was going to give you shit, yeah.
I actually am. I knew your word. But you know, it's that moment of like, okay, if I don't get this job, like it's just being okay with, I have zero attachment to the outcome. Here's set your intention. My intention is, I really want to work on this job. My intention is I really want to make this script. Put it out there. But you have to really train yourself to be like, but I know whatever happens is what's going to take me to what is best for me and whatever level sorry, I keep hitting the mic. Talk with my hands. Whatever happens is going to take me to where I need to go.
Yeah.
There's a million ways to get from point A to point B. Just because it's not the way that you're going doesn't mean that they won't recalibrate, and you should check the recalibration and just trust it, because it might take you to past that really awesome donut shop on Route 66 that suddenly is the donut you're thinking about on your deathbed.
Yeah. Exactly. There it is. All right.
I really want to do this. Like, if I had a car, I would come out here once a week for sure. But I feel like I will come back anytime. Like,
I think we should do it again.
I honestly do. I'd love to.
Because I know right now that I feel like I've just opened up the jar and taken the seal off, and I want to get.
That's the one polite way.
Let's get deeper. I want to get deeper in that jar
until all of a sudden I'm here sobbing. You're like, okay, just have some food. You want some more rosé?
I'll be crying right there with you.
Okay.
So it's not a big deal.
Good.
It's not a big deal. 2020. I'm allowed to do that now.
You're always allowed to do that.
We're good?
Yep.
Oh, it's perfect. Perfect time to come back from a break.
You
I
really
have a
want me to eat.
mouthful of lemon. And that melon's pretty good. That melon could be a little bit better. It's not lemon. It's fucking melon.
We were talking about how it's torture that you put out all this food, and I won't eat while I'm talking.
That's
and
why
you're
I'm
like,
doing it.
that's the show. That's why we do it.
Uh-huh.
And so I feel like I'm failing listeners. I have been eating, but I feel like I'm failing listeners. But I also just don't want to.
It's just tiny bites while you eat.
Have you met me? I don't do tiny anything. I'm like raw.
All right, so we're back. So let's. We were talking a little bit off camera about just life and how hard this business can be, and how much fun this business can be. And I think the one thing I wanted to bring up again was we're talking about the journey and how at the end of it all, it shouldn't just be about the end goal. It should be about the journey. And with the points that you bring up, the one thing I wanted to add to what you were saying was, I think, yes, you should be in it to win it. You should have a clear goal of what it is that you want to do, and be 100% sure that this is what you want to do, because it is ruthless. But I also think that while you're doing it, you should have eyes open and be looking around and enjoying this and seeing what other things that you're experiencing along the fucking way.
Yes, because you never know what one of those windows are showing you, that you go back later and you're like, you know what? I actually wasn't even paying attention to that. And I really liked that. But I've just been, focusing on this one thing. But if you're present and you're aware of what's going on, and you make note of things that tickle you along the way and excite your spirit.
Yep.
Those, you never know, one, when you've decided, this isn't for me, that's a very real thing. And that there's no shame in that, because I think it takes a lot of fucking courage and balls to go in to do the thing that a lot of people, there's more people than that aren't like us, because I've had friends say this. They're like, I could be rejected once and I'm done. And they're not in this industry. So I always congratulate people who want to be artists or in any way, because you're already choosing the harder road.
Yep.
You're choosing one less
As soon as you
traveled
say
by.
goodbye to that 9-to-5 fucking gig, it's a whole different game.
Right. And it's okay. I mean, I can speak here and tell you guys, I've been doing this on the side as long as I could, because it was never enough to just be my main job.
Sure.
To survive, really. And I know people who do the opposite, where they're like, I'm going to go for it and not do a side job or whatever. And that's fine too, except that then when it does, they put a timeline on it. Well, you're setting yourself up to fail, because then if you're like, you can go into it for a timeline and say, hey, for when I first moved out here, I've saved up enough, and I came out here during pilot season. I was like, I'm just moving to LA. Was before pass. But anyway, I said, I'm going to take the first 6 months and I could live off my savings comfortably.
Yep.
I'm going to do that, get acquainted with this town, get acquainted with, I don't know what to expect. And I'll tell you right now, the way things were when I got here, I had 4 or 5 auditions a day. To this day, I'm like, damn, I didn't even know how good I had it. And I'm glad I did that. And I did put a time restraint on it, because I knew my money was going to run out. And then there comes a point where damn it, just a little longer without the job. And it got to a point where, no, it's okay to have to then recalibrate. So I think what you're saying too, I want to add to that is like, yes, be paying attention to the things along the way, the windows that open, the things that are not what you are doing for the finish line, but they are these little side stops that you're like, I really would like to try that someday, because you never know when it's going to come in handy. You never know if you might want to backtrack and go do that. Not even backtrack. I take that back. When you might want to just take a different avenue and recalibrate.
Sure. But I bring this up because it's fascinating, because you mentioned that you were shadowing a director, and I think that's such a fucking good idea. And I think that from an just to be a better actor, because for instance,
true. That actually I didn't think of that at the time, but yeah.
For instance, when I was doing my short, I had a bunch of background extras. I have this sequence that has like a bunch of background extras. And whenever you're dealing with background talent, it's always this funny kind of thing where it's just like, okay, your task is literally to wrap a cable, and you watch how people who have never touched cables before attempt to wrap a cable and how they interact when the camera comes
But
at
in
them.
fairness, can I just give them some credit, because also they have the hardest job. I love our background extras, and I don't even say, we don't say extra, background actors. I believe I said extras before. That didn't mean that. It's because it's actors. But also because I have been guilty of like where they're like, can you tie your shoe? And suddenly I'm so like, okay, don't do the bunny loop. Do this way because it'll look better in the character.
And I'm in the other room.
I don't want to interrupt I don't want to derail your story. I just want to say, you're right. You're so right. But at the same time, we have to like.
Where did she learn to tie those shoes? That'd be the first thing I said in the fucking editor. Look at this one. What is she doing?
Because I will say, like, and that comes from experience where, like, all of a sudden you get a moment as a background actor, you get a moment to stand out, and all of a sudden you feel like this is my Tom Cruise moment. If I don't do this, it just takes experience. And I also myself have been that way, even as an actor to this day, in scenes where they're like, just take a sip of water, and I'm like, and I will seriously like do it, and I will see a take, and I'm like, I've never drank water like that in my life. And it wasn't even in character. I suddenly was like, well, I'm going to just put my pinky up this way. And I was like, why did I do that? Your brain plays like 1, 2, 3, be funny, or 1, 2, 3, action. It puts something. But anyway, I don't want to derail you.
So no, you're not just right.
So you're right, though. It can be a very interesting experience, and some are really great and get it, and some like you said are going to try a little too hard and milk the moment. You're like, I just need you to sit on the couch. You don't need to be making mug shots and
Sure.
But go ahead. I'm sorry to
totally.
keep you on track.
1 second. That one died.
This one died.
Is that one still going?
That one's still going.
That one's gonna probably die next. So just go to the wide and just leave it on the wide.
Copy.
So don't worry about that.
All right.
Because we kind of did this last minute, and I don't have enough batteries for both. So we'll just go. We'll go to the wide, and the wide will last us through the back end.
Yep. All right. Cutting on the wide.
Now that you know that the wide's there, you can work to the wide if you want.
I'm just,
Oh my god.
excuse me.
And of course it's done now. I stopped recording.
No, I'm literally going to do that. You're gonna watch. This is what I mean. No.
You're gonna be talking to
Every
the
time that they shoot on my right, I'm always just like, "What did you say?" I swear to God, you think I'm fucking around?
It's
like,
fine.
Can you just be normal?
It's fine. Hold on. All right, let's let me
We're
know.
talking about.
Don't fuck up the microphone though. If you're gonna get all crazy about it, let me move the microphone a little bit for you. There you go.
Embarrassed me.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. All right, can I ask? Are those chilies in that?
No. So those are raspberries. So it's dark chocolate and raspberry. Dead serious. You told me about your chili.
Oh,
thing.
I did.
There's nothing here
Okay.
spicy.
Well,
I
you
went
don't have
through
to do
the.
that. I just can't eat it.
I went through the process of making sure. It's good, right?
Very kind of you.
Well, yeah, you're my fucking guest, man.
Doesn't mean you can't make stuff for you.
Yeah, but
And
you're
my family eats it
here.
all the time. I told you, my. Okay.
You're here, man. I'm making the
but
shit
you
for
should.
you.
What if he wants some spot? Look how hard he's worked him.
He doesn't get anything. He doesn't get anything.
He gets a good pat on the back.
Yeah, that's it.
He prevails.
Yes.
And you know what? Leave all this in.
Leave all of it.
So then,
No, definitely don't.
No.
Yeah, no, leave it in. Stay.
what were we saying?
Yeah,
What were we saying?
about. I'm sorry. You were talking about. Let's just cut out my whole bullshit about interrupting you. Let's.
No,
pick
it's
it
all
up
good.
From
It's a
where
good-
you were saying, you're
good.
working as a director and you're working with a background actor.
Well, and so, okay, so here's the fact that you're doing the shadowing thing is fascinating because most actors don't get a chance to either see. I don't think they get a chance to be in the edit room.
No actor. I mean, well, unless you're.
Well, so here's what's fascinating. So have you ever been in the edit room before?
Not ever. I mean, it's not like I make a decision, but yes, I've been. Stephen, when I was shadowing him, I got to see a couple little moments of the editing.
Editing's fucking fascinating. Okay, so
it is, and I have friends that are editors, but I also just love. I love editing my own stuff.
Okay. So
but to be in a room, it's fascinating what.
Yeah, because
I was actually on Evil Dead. I snuck in when we were doing. I had to watch a scene in order to go. There was a very tricky ADR thing, which we had to do so much ADR for that.
Right, because you're in there for ADR stuff.
Well,
right.
yeah. So what I got to then there was one thing, and I'm like, can I see the full? It was because I just needed to understand it, and they weren't anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And fascinating to me.
Yeah, because
it's not always just the best take. It's like
it's this whole thing, right? So like when I shoot, like if I shoot something. Pre-production and in the beginning when you're putting together an idea, that's where it's the best. In your head, you're like, there's no restrictions, so you can come up with this really beautiful shit. And then you go into production and they start to break your heart and they're like, okay, we only have this many days, we don't have that many days. So you go through all that stuff. And then you go to the set and then you're dealing with the set stuff. Where the only part of piece that I ever have on a set as a director is when I call action. Mm-hmm. In that period, there is the piece. And then you call cut, and then the rest of the world is coming in to tell you why you're not allowed to do this anymore. It's always happening that way. And so that's where you're creating is in that environment. And then when you go to the fucking edit room, you take a couple days off if you're lucky, and then you go into the edit room, and it all starts again. And all it is a series of folders with clips inside those folders, and hopefully within those clips is what you need to make a fucking movie.
Right.
And so everything changes at that point. And so the stuff that I thought was the plan, the shit that I thought was going to work, you're sitting there and you start to put those together. And it's that combination. It's the simplicity of simple scene. What is the coverage for that scene? And what did I think was going to work for the coverage for that scene? And what did I think was going to work tonally for this scene? And then you start to get into the minutia of it. So you're getting into this bit where we have 2 cameras right now. Normally we'd have 3. You have 2 cameras here, and it's like, okay, so when do I cut to your close-up? When are you listening? When are we watching you listen? When are we watching me? And when do we cut away from me saying me? Do we cut away with my thumbs here, or do we cut away with my thumbs here? And what does that mean? And so then you get into this fucking insanity of minutia, which is really fascinating. And so I think it's I like to have most of the actors that I work with come into the edit room early when I'm cutting.
That's awesome.
Just so that they can see. And if I find something, there have been multiple times where I've worked with talent like Gene, who is in the Who's There bit. And him and I are like, because of it. But I brought him in because he's one of those actors that literally understands the edit. Mm-hmm. And so he's like fucking dead on. And you'll be in the edit room and go, let me drag this take, and you'll lay that in, and it's like he grabs the hammer at the same fucking moment. And it's almost uncanny. It's like you're watching an alien, and you're just like, how do you know? And there's moments where I'll call up people while I'm in the edit room and I go, you need to come down here and see what a fucking maniac you are. Like the ability that you have to do this stuff. But there's also for talent that when they come in, like a bunch of the extras, I wanted to get in touch with them and have them come in and just see what they were doing.
That's awesome.
And just be like, look.
Good for you. Wow.
Because they're great, but they just don't know.
And
they just don't know.
You don't learn. That's what we were talking about with this mistake. Can I just, again, man, I'm so happy I'm here.
I'm not looking for that.
I know you're not, but I need to call it out because we live in a time when there are so many shitty people or people who just aren't that thoughtful. I mean, I gotta be honest. I'd like to pride myself on being a good person, but I don't know that I would do that. I'm sitting there making my movie. I don't know if that I would have time to be able to do that.
Yeah,
I think
but
that's
all
awesome
part of it.
man.
That's all part of it. You know
I
what
know,
I mean?
but I just really commend you, honestly.
Thanks.
Because that's going above and beyond. Everybody take note.
Shut
up. Fuck up.
Shut up.
Everybody be like, Mike, don't tell me to shut the fuck up. You shut up. You're not, I know, you're uncomfortable. I don't care. You need to hear it, and it needs to be lauded.
Well, thank you.
Because that's a wow, what a gift.
Thank you.
Really, what a gift you're giving to those people. Because and then to tie in what we were saying earlier about the biggest mistakes or how you learn. How I learned how to be a better actor was either filming myself. And it's like by myself rehearsing and watching, which is awful. but it's also, I learned little things of like, when I think I'm being perfectly still, I'm moving constantly. I am constantly moving.
Yeah,
I look really, everything I do looks so over the top when in my mind, it's the most natural, because in real life, which I don't realize unless I'm looking in a mirror, we're talking to myself, which is never, but I don't realize how overly animated I am. So it's actually been kind of a joke, because when I do a scene and they're like, be really, really, it's just be very still. And there's a power in stillness in acting. That's a whole other thing. But either way, there is a power to it. And I am like, I feel like a mannequin. I'm not blinking. I'm not looking. And that's how it feels. And I'm pretty self-aware, as we've got, like, I'm pretty good at knowing. Yeah. And then I watched the take. And one, I was really like, this is going to be terrible. This was me. I was like, Groucho Marx, where it blows my mind. But I wouldn't have learned that unless the director either let me watch those takes, or once, or worse or better, is depending on how you look at it. I would say better yet, when it was too late and the product was already out there, and I was humiliated because I was like, that I know I can. That looks like I've never acted once in my life. I look like the background extra who's suddenly tying their shoe with their wrong hand and like with their teeth. Where it's like, why did I do that? But that quote unquote mistake is that's the benefit, you guys. That's what we're kind of
that's what we're trying to do.
Which is like, because whenever some director, because it inevitably is my thing, everyone keeps saying, that was great. Can you do it a little smaller? A little, where I'm like, but it feels so small, it feels so natural. The more natural I am, the bigger it reads. It makes no sense. So I have to almost like dial it down to where I'm not being natural. I'm almost just like very, very muted, but it looks better on camera. But I wouldn't have really learned that if it wasn't time after time after time after time of watching myself. Once my one-line co-star or whatever, 2 lines in a movie came out on TV or on, I saw it and I was like, oh my God. And it stays with you. So I think like you're saying, it's first of all, that's great that you're doing that for those people, because what you're giving them the gift of is not, first of all, if their background, there's just like any of us, even if you're not background, there's a good chance they're not going to even be seen in that.
Exactly.
So they'll never learn.
Exactly.
And so beyond that, you're giving them this moment to say, remember how I asked you to do this? And then you did that. I just want you to see how it's coming off. And they're going to be able to see that and get them the featured part, the next acting part next time. That's why, man, though. But not many people do that. So I appreciate you.
I mean, look, I don't do that for the accolades. I do that because
you don't.
Ultimately, if I bring you into the other room because of that, because I like you, or because I like the way you look, or because I think your vibe is really cool,
and they have potential,
and
right?
they have potential, and then at the end of the day, man, like, okay, so I'm going to do my first feature, right? I've been directing for 19 years. It doesn't mean shit because I haven't done a feature. So I'm going to do my first feature, and so to convince a studio to give me that kind of cash, a studio's not going to give me more than $5 million, straight up.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, straight up.
Like,
so
yeah. They want to discover the new talent. They just don't want to pay for it. And then once everybody else discovers you, then they're like,
sure,
name your price.
Sure. So they're not going to give me that money, and so that at the end of the day, I'm going to have the ability to choose a couple of name actors at a certain tier. So that's what I'm going to get, is a couple actors at a certain tier. And then the rest of my movie is going to be filled with whoever they can afford. And so what I'd rather do is have my collection, my little trough of fucking people that I love, to be like cherry pick for a couple reasons. One, I think they're great on screen, but 2, they know me, they know the shit. I've already showed them stuff. They already know what's going on. They already know how I use the fucking camera. And it goes not just with the talent, not just with the actors, it goes with the fucking crew.
Absolutely.
And so then you were talking about this before. When you surround yourself with people that you know, because at the end of the day...
No, that not just that you know, that you work well with is even more important, I would say. Right?
So, because at the end of the day, this is the most stressful fucking thing. And you're going to be directing, you're going to be doing 15, 20 hours, whatever the fuck it is, ridiculously. And you're going to be there on those sets for a ridiculous, if we're lucky, 3 weeks. You know what I mean? For that run of time. Mm-hmm. And you're going to be going out of your fucking mind. And the biggest dilemma that I think a director has is that if you're smart, you see the movie, so you close your eyes, you see it, you see the tone, you know what it is. So now I have to take this like beautiful, amazing thing and put it to this uneducated piece of fucking skin right here and get it out to you in such a way that you're like, no, I get it. but I have to do that. And I think when you're around people enough, like my cinematographer, even my gaffers that I use all the time, I will literally walk in a room and go like, and they'll go, yeah. And they'll go and they'll do it.
Yes.
And I don't have to communicate.
And that is exactly it. People who get, they you have a shorthand.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day,
You're exhausted. You're
but yes, you're exhausted for sure. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's to not have to, and that's why if you're lucky, it's totally understandable. You can't always get this sort of way of doing it because you just can't. But
Well,
when you
right.
can,
Right.
the end of the day, you need somebody who has that shorthand, who understands you, who you can trust to, that you can delegate to without even being able to articulate it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the secret sauce. That really, I've seen it. That's why partnerships that have been together, whether it's music, or whether it's collaborators like cinematographer and director, and those are the ones. It's like if you're lucky enough to find that person that you just are, you're on the same frequency, and they're easy to work with in the sense of like you guys can just, you don't have to be. You could just say it's like family in that way.
Yep.
And doesn't mean you have to hang out. Doesn't mean you have to be best friends.
No.
It's like some people I've worked with that are just they're like no bedside manner in the sense, meaning like they're just hey bah, bah. But at the same time, I don't need you to be like buddy chummy. I'd rather you be so good at your job and be able to tell me what you want and me be able to tell you than to be my best friend and let's go out for a beer. No, why do I keep doing that voice? But usually they go hand in hand. Somebody that you then becomes your work buddy, that then is somebody
because
you always
you guys
go
have
to,
been
and then now you're like
right. You've been to battle together, and now you start doing all that
exactly,
stuff,
and you
which
help.
is fun.
You made each other look good. You should
Right.
be around people and only surround yourself people that lift you up and make you your highest, make you better by being around them, which then helps you get to the level of your highest self,
Sure.
so that you do that for other people.
And then this comes back to my initial statement that we were talking about when do I get to meet the production designer? Like there hits this
Right.
point where I now work with actors that I will always give an opportunity to read for a movie, always, because they've earned it. They've spent the
awesome.
time, they've done the time, they've done the shit with me. So it doesn't matter. You've earned it. You've earned every movie that I do the opportunity to walk in the room and at least read for a part.
That's
Like you've just
dude,
earned
that's
that.
awesome.
So at that
Really,
point, well, I mean, but it's true because
But nobody does this. You're saying like, I don't want the accolades. I'm telling you. Why do I keep doing that voice? I'm telling you, I'm just blown away. Continue. This is so.
well, because you've fallen because
it's
you
been-
fall in love with these people. Like I cut my
Yes.
shit. So
but I'm like you, but not everybody else is like you. So it's refreshing to hear. But so you cut your own shit.
Well, I mean, until the guys that are producing my feature come in and they go, "Hey, you're not allowed to do."
Yeah,
all
and that's
this."
what I mean. That's what I'm trying to
like
say. It's not always possible.
Yeah, but that's
but
that's
try
what
to
I
get
want.
to that point.
And I put it out there to say that because if I put it out there, then that means they have
Yes.
a good opportunity.
But
to
you
happen.
let the actors who have earned their space, that
To
you were
come
saying
in
that they
to do
come in
this
to
stuff.
just, even if you don't think they're right, to like show up and do something.
But just because we've built, and I'll write stuff for actors that I know.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because you know what they can do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the hardest part about this business is that actors need to find directors because actors at the end of the day are floating out there in space until a project comes along. Like you can't physically work until a fucking project comes along.
And you can't find your own because you're relying on other people. That's part, it's
Right.
not-
And then
you can create your own, but like in terms of outside jobs, right?
Yeah. But then this is the issue with Hollywood. So then as a young director, I can't do shit without an actor.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the deal that I have to run into and the situation that I run into are the fucking roadblocks, are the gatekeepers, are the people that put themselves in between us. It would be like if we're doing this podcast and I had to talk to somebody and I had to relay everything I'm saying right now, and then they process it through whatever issues that they think they have, aka how much money they're going to make, and then they turn to you and they tell you about a quarter of it, or maybe they don't turn to you and then they come back to me and say, well, she's got no response, and it's like,
and I can't tell you the amount of times.
Yeah.
And
So-
by the way, that is going to happen.
yeah, it happens all the time, yeah.
The thing is, the only thing that helps me put my head on my pillow at night is that the people you're meant to work with in the situations you're meant to be in, you won't be able to escape. You'll find a way. Like I never checked those. That was I couldn't escape that. That was like too much of a coincidence. So like, I feel like if I had never seen that, somehow I just believe this. I've seen it in my own life. A year later from now, you'd be doing your second feature, and someone that my friend Joe, who probably knows you, all of a sudden it comes together then, and you're like, I wrote you a year ago. You have to, but so like that's why you're exactly right. It's the game of telephone.
Yeah.
But again, it's out of your control, and so you can only put it out there and hope for the best. But you're exactly right. That is this town. But that's why you do cut out the middlemen when you've developed that relationship.
Like it's just.
Oh no, I'm never coming back here. Talk to my manager. I'm gonna need some gas money next time. I would like my spread next time to be sushi and
see what you don't want to do
steak.
if you do work with me is you don't want to do those things because I'm the biggest fucking tease.
Well, I'm doing them. I want you to fly in Omarosa rolls from Philly.
Oh yeah.
I would. That's why I listened to your episode about when to start. It's okay to ask for money because I'm the person that's like, I like pay to be anywhere because like that I want to do. If it's something I want to do, I will lose money doing it.
Sure.
Because those have been actually, again, the most rewarding.
But you're a passionate artist, and that's what we do as passionate artists. Is our first reward is the ability to do it.
It is, and
That's
yet that's
always
why
the
it
first
hurts so
reward.
much when it comes back and takes advantage of you and slaps you in the mouth. You know, where you're like, that was just, if it was like coming here and then it was like some awful experience where you're like, and that happens more often than not this kind of scenario. I just mean like you go in with
like
positive
gusto,
attitude and you're like, and then again you watch it unravel before your eyes and there's nothing you can do, and that's why I'm complimenting you, so to make sure you hear, like, because I feel like you can get so lost in just going down the path, and I'm saying it not to stroke your ego. I told you at the beginning of this, I'm a terrible poker player because I can't lie for shit. Well, and people say, "Oh, well, you're an actor." Yeah, that's probably why I'm not necessarily a good actor, because I can't lie. I can pretend to be somebody else, but as Dana, it's like, now I'm George Washington. Can't tell a lie. Why am I doing that voice today? I don't know what that is about this room. It's all your fault.
That's right,
Liam. But that's why I'm saying those things to you, because I'm calling them out in the moment. Otherwise, I'll forget about it. And in that moment, if I don't say it, it's like, dude, that is unheard of. Maybe I've been in this town too long, but as somebody, even whether or not I work with you ever, I'm saying hearing that from right now is, man.
I think it exists out there.
But I hope you people listening, I hope the people you inspire take a page from that. It's what we're saying. Learn from the greats, because the greats are where they are most of the time. Not all the time, most of the time, because they're the Farleys, they're the Raimis, they're the people.
They're the good fucking people
who to go above and beyond to help others on their path that have no benefit to them helping them. Does that make sense?
No, totally. And I mean, and if you look at it from multiple perspectives, because I know that there are a lot of people out there that just don't value being good first. So let's pretend like you don't value being good first. It's also good business.
Yeah, let's just say that if you're just like, no,
if you're a person that's like, I don't have time for that, or I have no, like, good luck in this business. But also, it's just good business.
You never know. The person bringing you your coffee that day is the person sitting behind the desk in 10 years. And by the way, that's not bullshit. I've seen that.
It's good business.
I've seen it. But I love that. I love that you do that.
All right. Let's move on.
What are we moving on from? To what? I like that you do that, and I like that you give those people. But you were about to say, though, I feel like I still, for the 70th time, derailed you. But you were saying about you bring the actors in because they've earned a place.
Yeah, no.
And then I see, because you were saying about,
it just all comes down to, at the end of the day, like wanting to. You're building your toolkit. You're always building your toolkit, whether it's your relationship skills, or whether it's your performance skills, whether it's your camera skills. And I mean, this is a social job, 100%. Like, you're my paintbrush, and you have your own shit. You have your day-to-day kind of thing. So I have to be empathetic. I have to be able to understand what you're going through. I have to understand how to give you the direction that you need. in order for it to be cool, in order for it to be a good working day, and then B, like a great scene or a good moment. And like we're studying people to tell stories about people, and then we're studying people to help them tell that story about someone that we're studying. So it's this weird, you just have to be hyper focused on human interaction and how people interact and do stuff.
Well, and you also have to be what I think another gift as a director, if you can talk about a tool, if you can wield this tool. You just made me realize something when you said that. I thought of a who is now my very, very dear friend. His name is Ani Rood Pandit. But Ani Pandit was a filmmaker who's now temporarily taken a break from the stuff. But he, went to NYU Film School and would never tell you that, but you find out about it later, but then went to NYU Film School and then got hired at Google to be some bigwig at like 23. Like the kid's a savant and like one of those people that's just a good person and good at everything because he's brilliant, right? So I did this. Fun fact, I met him at the bar I was working at, and he asked me to be, well, he didn't. He had his producing partner be like, hey, you're not, because I knew him, the producing partner, because he was one of my regulars at the bar, and he's like, I have this movie. I was like, yeah, wow, pick it. I'm like, yeah, you're going to tell the bartender at this bar who you happen to know is an actor that you want me to do your movie? Get out of here. I'm not fucking doing it. The end of the story is, again, guys, the most rewarding thing I ever did. I blew it off because I'm like, I'm not going to do, everybody in LA's got a movie. I'm not doing the, yeah. I didn't even read it. I wouldn't read it. And that was not like me, but I was like in a bad place and I was like, I'm not going to go with this. Right. And, I didn't know. And I'd already done too many of those or like tried them and they were just a nightmare. But again, grateful for them now because I learned a lot on that. So, but when I finally did read it, I was blown away at how good this was. And, I guess going where I'm getting at, I just wanted to say that side note story is like always ask like if because the role that he had me play was not at all who I am, and I said I didn't know because the friend I sort of knew, Rob, I sort of knew him because he was a regular, but I never met this guy Ani, and he said he's like I just knew, I walked in, I just knew. And I was like, I distinctly remember I was such a bitch to you. I was like so cold. I'm like, oh, I like everything. Like I was really like, oh wow, you're a director asking me. Okay, yeah, I'll read it. Yeah, I'll read it. Yeah, I'll read it. And he said, I said, but I'm that. You have to agree now that you know me. I'm not that character at all. He's like, I just saw it. Like she was very quiet and intelligent, and also has a lot of, which is not me at all quiet or intelligent. She's a little bit neurotic and has all these things. Anyway, the point was, if you have a gut feeling, go for it. All someone could say is no. You might as well ask. Yeah. But then about the director, what you said that you have to learn. How to talk to actors, and sometimes you just have to learn how to, like we were saying earlier, just read what they need in the moment. Sure. Because telling the story of the human experience and studying human behavior, I will give the best credit to him. He made an entire feature for $100,000. Got a lot of favors, but really, it was just we all dedicated our time because we again all really believed in it, right? Mm-hmm. And this one day. Because I had to work, so he put all of my scenes of the whole movie, and I was the lead female, in 4 days, and so it was just boom, 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 and we were shooting. This was one of the spots we had a location for, which was a bookstore on Franklin here in Los Angeles, next to. It's Franklin Village. It's you have to go see it. Now I'm drawing a blank on the bookstore name, but either way, people were there at like 3 a.m. in order to set it up because we had no time. Yeah. And it was a 2-minute or 2.5 minute continuous, or maybe it's 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes continuous shot. We did anyway. It doesn't matter. What matters is what had happened that morning was the hair and makeup person grabbed the wrong end of the curling iron. It was just me and her at Ani's house getting ready. And apparently this girl never been burned before because she screamed like someone just cut her head off. It's okay. It's fine. But like it was 45 minutes of me calming her down. We were supposed to be there. I was supposed to be on set and trying to help that. So, and then we had no reception. So they weren't, she was supposed to drive me. I didn't know.
Oh, yeah. So
we show up 2 hours late and I'm hysterical because my hair and makeup is not done. And this is the crux of this scene. And we already didn't have time. Now we have 30. And in that moment, he saw I was like hysterical. I'm like, you could just see, like I wasn't out. Sorry to hit the mic. It wasn't outwardly hysterical, but it's obvious. It was like you could see it's right below the surface. And he could have just been like, we gotta go, and so everyone else's energy was that way. Or like, and, the DP was kind of, everyone's like, da, da, da. He found out what happened. He goes, we're gonna go around, you and I are gonna go take a walk around the block. I'm like, we don't have time. And let me tell you what. I say, again, I'm sorry for the long-windedness, guys, because I process as I talk, and I'm reliving this for the first time in a long time. Once he could finally, or maybe like 3 minutes into the walk, and I was like, we don't have time on it. We have to go. I know. He's like, I need you to just be with me right now. He's like, I don't want you to think about anything. He's like, let's talk about, he's like, can you tell me your favorite song and one of your favorite songs? Where did you, like, he really, and I was like, I know what you're doing. He's like, Dana, you got nothing else to lose right now. Just look at me and talk to me as Dana. And we're going to not talk about the scene. We're not going to talk about the movie. What's your favorite donut? And we did. And so I really was, I don't even remember what he asked me because I was so in my head. And he made the time because he knew if he got me out of my head and just walked around and said, Dana, I don't want you to worry about the shot. I don't want you to worry about the time. I go, but what are we going to do? They're going to open. They're not going to. He's like, that's not your job. He said, we're going to get it. You got to trust me. But you got to trust me right now that I believe in you enough that I'm not going to make you look bad. You're not going to make me look bad. And we're not going to leave here until we get it. And we're going to get it. So can we just move forward and let's go do it?
Smart.
2 takes. Done.
Smart.
Moved out. We got it. Smart. We got out early somehow. I don't know how.
That's like a fucking hero day.
Can I just tell you? And like that's something I learned because that is so. What he did, I couldn't do.
That's a hero.
I couldn't do. Yeah. I couldn't do it if it was I couldn't do it if it was just another actor and I was an actor in the scene. I'd be oh God. And he. I guess the lesson of what you're saying is to piggyback on this also to just be, if you're going to share the human experience as an artist from any form, but especially as a director, and you are going to have a point of view about it, in order to tell that story and to share this with people, you need to be able to read and understand the human experience and understand the times when it's okay to be demanding and when to stand up for yourself and fight for yourself. And there are times when you can say, you know what, in order to get what I want, I have to give a little bit of some, I have to sacrifice a little something in order to take care of this person. Because I need this person as you said, my paintbrush.
Yep.
And their bristles are everywhere. So if I don't give this person a cigarette right now,
Yeah.
No, you know what I mean?
No,
and I think
that
was a hard thing to do because he had to choose, and it was like game time or not.
That's the fucking job.
And he doesn't. I know.
That's the fucking job. That's what I love about it, man. And it isn't until you start doing, if for all those guys and girls out there that want to direct, it isn't until you start doing that. And once you realize that, there have been multiple times where I've been on set and I've always felt sort of like, what is my job here? Like, what am I supposed to, I have an idea and I have everybody here doing this, but what is actually my job? It's that. It's when you do things like that. I bet you he walked away and was like, yeah. Whether or not he said it.
No, he told me after because we became like, we were best friends after that since then. So, because the other thing I should mention too is everybody else, and they were all his friends because everyone was working for free. People he's worked with forever, made other movies with. You know, Justin, our amazing DP, was like, Ani, we did it. We're losing the light. The light is changing every time. Sure. The more time we wait. So they're coming up and yelling at him. And he would just go, I got it. Okay. And then wardrobe. Okay, well, and then the costumes are there, but our second location's here. And then we didn't tell the actors are coming. And everyone else was because this whole fluke situation of someone not being able to get me to where I needed to be, which wasn't my fault, but it doesn't matter because it's still now I have to deliver as if it is, right? And it doesn't matter whose fault is anything, right? You just you're all there for a reason. But and these people weren't frantic people, but their jobs are now being affected because now they can't do their job because now everything, the longer we wait, the harder of a time they have.
Anxiety is coming up.
And so I think another thing, I'm just, all of this, guys, I'm realizing as I'm saying it, but I think another thing to add to that, Mike, is that when you're like, what is my job here? Sometimes your job is just to be the therapist in a way of I don't mean that, that's not the right word I want to say. Your job is to sometimes just be the glue. And sometimes it's not even about, it's about, look, we got 10 minutes. We can either try and force this and it might be good, it might be bad, or I can just be calm. And because he could have very easily, because I said to him, like, I'd be stressing out just in the way people are talking to you. Like, everybody else is stressed.
Sure.
And again, it starts at the top. You set the bar.
Yep.
Sam Raimi set the bar. Farley, you said they
set the bar.
Ani set the bar because if he's calm,
Yep.
everyone else would be like, well, he ain't worried.
Yep.
And he was. He told me he was losing his mind. Like, he was really stressed out about it. But he was like, I knew that even if we got it in, I would rather have one take from a place of ground level than 2 takes a below sea level that weren't going to be usable. But
Makes
that
sense.
took a lot. I haven't thought about that in a long time. You just triggered that. So I think I think you would be that kind of person.
We'll see.
I think you would.
I mean, yeah,
you are very
yeah,
you're
thanks.
very aware of others
Thanks.
and what you're very attentive. That's another thing. Be attentive to what's going on.
You got to
around
listen.
you.
That's
And
part
if
of the
someone
job.
looks, someone on set if someone looks like they're having a minute, or like, PA looks upset, like, hey, just want to see, like Sam would do that. Hey, how's your day going?
Well, because all it takes is one sour apple.
That's true.
That's all it takes. So
Yes.
all it takes is like one. It's like the source. It's like the source of mold, and it's just and it spreads. And all it takes is that one little sour spot, and then that sort of spreads across everything like a fucking virus.
Poison.
And so, like,
Yep.
And so what you do is you spot that shit pretty early on, and you just sort of get into it and you figure out what the fucking deal is. Because at the end of the day, look, you're manipulative. You have to be manipulative. You're a director. That's your job. You're trying to manipulate all these people to be there, and not in a negative way,
No.
not like a
No.
bad guy
Best-
manipulation.
Yes, good manipulation.
But you're manipulating, and that's your fucking gig. And so you gotta just be aware. And
Yes.
I it's all good stuff. And I just want to move on a bit because I know we're tracking on time here. So I would say, let me just move this guy up a little bit. Yeah, how we doing? We're bad spot. Look at the
We're
notes.
good. We're good.
Yeah. Okay.
It's my fault. I'm the one who never shuts up.
It's all fine.
We got like 5 minutes.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this because we are going to wrap this thing up, and you've given so much great advice already. To
I don't
people.
know about that. I was just telling you that. I don't know. These are things that I'm trying to learn for myself and things I've observed in my life and other people's lives. And I, again, I'm not always best at practicing them. And I'm saying them for as much for me as for everybody and for you as well. But I think the more we talk about it, the more we learn. And I do stand by everything I've said today, and none of it is necessarily coming from like my brain. I'm not here being Oprah. It's things that I've learned from other people and observations I've made, or other observations other people have told me, or lessons I've learned the hard way. That if one person can hear it and I know that the times when it stuck with me, when I heard something that was a gem of just that one thing, you hear it the same thing and you hear it one certain way once and it sticks, right?
Yep.
So I thank you for saying giving advice. I don't like I said, I'm just I'm floating along in the ether with everybody else. So just trying to keep my head above water.
So
thank you.
Let me ask you this. I'm personally curious now. So
God.
So you've been a big player on a TV show, and you're at the next stage, right? You're potentially going to move on to do something bigger and better. You're going to move on to do something bigger and better.
Then I also might not. We'll see.
But you'll
yeah,
see.
I guess.
So then my question is this: like, what are you curious about? Where do you want to play? Where do you want to go next? Like, what makes you fascinated? What kind of stuff do you want to dig into next?
Oh man, that's because it depends on the day. Like, do you mean genre? Do you mean?
I mean, like wherever you are today in the moment today, like what are you interested in getting into? Like, where do you want to go? What do you want to play with?
Today, just because it's always been, I guess I'd really like to be immersed in a character, which in a film, and by that I mean I've always, since I was a kid, imitated people or done impressions, and not necessarily well, but I have always wanted to really be able to become a different person, and idea, whether that's a character or a real person. But yeah, I'd love, I suppose, to be in the biopic world.
Cool.
world. Not that it's a world, but
No,
like,
but yeah.
I'd love to. I did. Long story short, we could talk about it next time. But I one of the greatest time of my life. I won't say one. The greatest time of my life. This was one of those things that like I lost money doing it, and it to this day, if on my deathbed, if they're like you can go back to any time in your life, what would it be? It would be this when I, which happened serendipitously. It was not something I set out to do. I was did an Amy Winehouse tribute band back in Chicago. Well, again, it started as I when I was on the radio. Twista, the rapper, was like, "You look like a little Amy Winehouse." Well, I was obsessed with her, and then I won a costume contest, and I never won a Halloween. I've never won any contest, and then my friend from college, her longtime best friend, had been hounding her, please, I want to play Amy Winehouse with Dana. I want to play Amy Winehouse. And she kept saying, you need to meet up with Ken. I'm like, yeah. No, I'm not going to do it. And I blew it off. And it's so in spite of myself. This is what I mean. The things you're meant to, there's an actor who said this on a documentary, but the parts you're meant to get, you won't be able to escape. And the things you're meant to do, you won't be able to escape. Because this, again, how many times have I told this now? Like, I am not somebody that blows people off, but when I know it's like I don't want to do it, I'm not going to waste anybody's time.
Sure.
And I tell them no.
Sure.
And then sometimes they just keep coming. And finally, like, fine, we'll do it. Shut up. I'll read your script, Ani. All right, Ken, I'll sing with you in my apartment tonight. And holy shit, you guys. That's, I guess, another takeaway is if something keeps knocking, man, there's something, give it a shot to just see what it is before you decide you want to do it. That turned into a band serendipitously forming organically over a year that started with like guys that were just a bass and a drummer and a guitar doing the horns verbally. Anybody who knows Amy Winehouse, anybody who knows soul, there's horns, like as in trumpets, that are a major part of it. And so my guys were going, bop, bop, ba da bop, like Valerie, and it's like bop, bop, ba da bop, and we were playing gigs. Like I was paying to do these gigs just because we loved performing. Because for me, it was if someone came to you right now, if a fairy godmother said you could be your favorite rock star, and you get to go and perform it and fake it well enough that even you can believe you're that for a minute, and people going. And for me, it was just I was doing it to share in the love of her music, which I couldn't come anywhere. Let me just say for the record, she's incomparable. I couldn't come close. I could fake it just enough, but I could never. I'm still perpetually in awe of her and what she did. Anyway, and doing that during that time when I was still working at a bar, still going on this was in Chicago. Mm-hmm. Losing money because I'd have to pay. Then I eventually because I didn't pay for the sheet music. All my guys learned it by ear. It was fucking incredible. And I'd pay him, and we'd play. It doesn't matter. I guess the tattoos were like $45 from the UK, which it was a whole thing, and I'd have to take off the night before work because and yet I knew that I'd do anything for that. I would do anything for that. When I was singing, I didn't go out. I didn't see any. I took care of myself because that was so important to me. And I guess I stopped doing it the day she died because I couldn't. But also, I didn't want people to think I was capitalizing on that. And the day she died, suddenly on my website, we started getting offers from around the world. It was the day. It was an hour after she's announced.
That is crazy. Suddenly,
all the things I had been pitching to them, I was our own manager. Do music festival, like we would do like street fests and stuff with all the other wedding kind of bands, right, or whatever. And we opened for Kathy Griffin and those kinds of they're like Joe Jet. We did like marketing fun stuff in Chicago. But I really wanted to do because Amy couldn't come to the States. That's why. Yeah. She didn't have a visa, or she didn't have a visa. That something went wrong with it, or what? I forget what it was, some drama. But the media always blew out of proportion. My point being, I just wanted to share that love of her music. If I just happened to look like her, and I could put on the wig and the thing, and really just emulate her and her improv and her she was so fucking funny. And just so my kind of person, doesn't give a shit. And it's who I wish I was, but also just, she's the 27 Club. She's another level. And so the fact that all those places, Germany and France, all those places I had been writing for 2-3 years. When we were listed I got a huge write-up in the Chicago Tribune. We had notoriety in that sense. So like the best tribute band. We knew we weren't selling any merchandise. We were saying, yeah, go out buy my album Back to Black. You know what I mean? Like I was selling her shit because that's what I wasn't doing it. I'm not trying to be her.
Sure.
I'm trying to give. I enjoy being the experience of being her, and I enjoy the experience of what the fans of her would say to me after, in the sense of like I dragged my boyfriend who hates that Rehab song, but after seeing this show, hearing her other music, he was buying her album, and he would say this. He's like, yeah, I never realized who else, all this other stuff. So that was like, for me, it was like, yes, victory for that. And all those places overseas and all these things that were pitching suddenly, and the day that she died was like, so do you want to come? And it still gets me so upset because I'm like, man, that's what killed her in the first place. It's that anyway.
Sure.
Sorry. Oh God. I shouldn't have gone on this. So my point being,
good.
I haven't done it with my band's Chicago, but I've done it karaoke maybe once or twice. She died in 2011, so it's 9 years. But I would if the story was done right, and I've toyed around with maybe wanting to write it, but it would need to be there's a lot. I studied that girl through and through and read and what I just feel like I want to share her soul in a way that I think got manipulated and not really. Even that documentary, was good and all, but it's not really. I don't think they capture really it. And I'd like to really to do that in honor of her, but also biopic. But then, sorry, God, I'm like sweating talking about that. But I'd also I think in any, like if someone was like, oh yeah, be Charles the Great, I would slip into that. Like I like that idea of being something totally different than myself.
Yeah, okay, got it.
Which is why I think we got in this business in the first place.
Yeah,
but
cool.
Then to like be that every day, like work on that straight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's sort of the world. But I guess that's today, and that's all the days. But
that's good.
Yeah, I'm open.
I'm fascinated. I want to see it.
Oh my God. Did I just talk for 3 hours on that point? No, I really did. It's like what I do. Oh my God. That was a solid 10 minutes without a breath. I'm sweating. You're fired. Yeah, you go ahead and laugh quietly. I want everyone to know he's quietly trying not to laugh.
All right.
Okay, but so clear, again, passionate about it. But that's...
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it. But the point is, guys, I guess, the point is, I feel like I say that a lot too. That was something that was not ever in my plan. And what you're saying is, be aware, be open to the other things. That was never, because that was, what am I? Yeah, I would go be in a tribute band. I'm not even really a singer.
Yep.
And it was I like went a little bit broke doing it but I love doing it. And that was all. I didn't care.
Yeah.
It's like, why do you pay to go to an amusement park? Why do you pay to go out and drink beer, whatever? Because you like doing it.
Sure.
And so just be open to those kinds of things. And in this journey, because had I just been like, no, I got to focus on what I should do. I should be taking acting classes. I should be writing a script for myself. I went with what excited my spirit, and I can't always do that. I know it's not always possible, but man, I thought if I could go back at any point in my life to this day, and I've had some lot of lows, but some high highs, and that nothing like that. So answer every call that excites your spirit and be open to what is presented to you, even if it doesn't seem that it's the spot and the destination, because it is.
I think that's good.
The journey and the process. Is that your song that I'm going to write?
No.
The journey is
not
the process. And we're going to have an upbeat song.
Nope. So I hope you guys liked that episode. I definitely had a blast filming that. Did you have fun with her on that one, Liam?
Definitely.
Yeah, she was really great. She's full of energy, man. I love that about her. She bounced off the walls, and I fucking dig it. And there hasn't been a moment on the show where I haven't blushed that much. I'm not used to getting compliments. So thank you so much, Dana, for being on the show, and we'll have you back on, because I feel like we barely fucking scratched the surface of all of it. And I know, like, after we finished rolling, she was like, I got to come back on. I was like, yeah, we'll come back on. We'll do a follow-up episode soon. So thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And like I said before, go check out inlovewiththeprocess.com. And please continue to follow us on Instagram. And this week, I'm actually cramming to get a lot of stuff done because we're doing some really cool shit. This week, I'm back putting my director's hat back on, and I'm going to be deep in it. We're going to do, I can announce this, I am directing the new Czarface video. And for those of you who don't know who Czarface is, it's DJ7L, it's Esoteric, and it's the amazing Inspector Deck from Wu-Tang. And I've co-directed the first 2 videos for them years and years ago. And they got in touch with me this time around, and I agreed to do it because of the special guest. And I don't know if I can talk about that yet, but it's super fucking cool, man. I'm super excited about who we'll be working with, in whose studio we'll be in on Wednesday. Today's Monday, so a couple days from now. Cruda's flying into town. He will be shooting that with me, and then hopefully we're going to line up everything to do another knife chef's piece for Dale Strong. I think that's going to be next week. So we're doubling down. 2 projects at once. It's going to be fun. Lots of really cool things going on the features front. I can't talk specifics, and I know you guys hate me for not being able to. I just don't want to destroy chances on these things, but I feel like we're the closest that we've been. Right? It's intense. It's brutal. The wait is brutal. The back and forths are brutal. How long it takes things to go is really intense. But we're very close to at least getting started on one of them. So more to come on that. Fuck, I really would love it if season 3 was while we were doing a feature. Wouldn't you guys dig that too? So we're trying to make all that stuff work. And we got some other plans with the podcast. We got some other plans for stuff for you guys that Liam and I have been working on, and there'll be more announcements on that coming soon. Hopefully we'll start to film these more often. It's just, look, the only way we're going to be able to get to film these things is if more listeners listen to the show, if more people are in it, because I need, he's doing 2 things at once right now. I need at least 2 more guys, plus I got a light. So it's a thing, right? I can't, unless we're like gremlins and we fucking drop ourselves in water and we start splitting. It ain't happening right now. So let's try to make that happen. And let's get some more sponsors on this show. So those are the goals for that. But yeah, super excited. The weather's still fucking great. You know what? Winter in Los Angeles has been fantastic. And not because it's hot outside. It's just really nice. It's tolerable. And I hate to be that fucking guy. Oh, yeah. Sound like that fucking guy when I was on the East Coast, and I'd be like, that fucking asshole was just telling us how good it is up there. For those of you on the East Coast, still swamped with snow, still swamped with shitty weather. I feel you. I lived there for so long. Yeah, we don't have that here. Anyway, I'm not going to keep you guys. As always, thanks to my buddy Code Electro, who has been touring. And I've seen clips from his concerts. They're pretty amazing. I think he's still touring through Europe. And part of his show is all of the video support stuff that I edited for him. There's actually footage from 12KM as part of his video show. We actually used some of that microscopic creature stuff. So if you are in Europe, I know there's a lot of you guys from London listening to this fucking show. You know what? Give us some shout outs, man. Where are you guys at? Like, I know we have London. I know we have Australia. France. I think we were just on the charts for France for Apple Podcast listeners for France. So, say hi. Reach out. And we'll show that love back. And, yeah, I think that's it. So, as always, thanks for listening. And I'll see you next Tuesday.